Collingwood and Essendon on Grandstand AFL. You're with Drew Morphett.
In the middle, Hocking's gone to Pendlebury. Bellchambers in the ruck against Jolly. There's the bounce to start the game. Bellchambers up high, but Jolly gets his hand to the ball. It comes underfoot. Lonergan gets a kick which goes nowhere. There's a clash of bodies in there. And the umpire comes in to ball it up. And the bloke who got hit was Pendlebury. But no whistle on the play. Here's a secondary bounce. Pendlebury rows. Gets the hand pass to Ben Johnson. Hand pass to Swan. And they're nearly out in the clear, although Swan's hand pass to Sinclair, not that flash. So he follows up and gets another touch himself. Comes to Sinclair. It's a real contest at centre wing. Heppel grabs it for the Bombers and kicks them down towards the 50. Keefe waits for it to bounce, gets a good bounce and gathers and switches play to the Great Southern stand side. Side bottom was attacked front on and will take a free kick early.
He'll loop it over the top for Brown, who's going to get his first touch and a hearty cheer from his fans. But Bramry, he's obeying no such niceties. He got in there and tackled him, and then they dispossessed Wellingham. The Bombers swarm around the ball. Side bottom's got to try to get the Pies out. He can't. He's down in the tackle of Watson, and the pressure wins out. Jenner will bounce it up inside the 50. Ryder tries to tap it for Monfries, who got it. Right foot snap at goal. It floats wide. Well across the face. And pitches back to score. It's a behind, sneaking in at the far post.
He's on 149 goals. He nearly kicked his 150th and was nearly the first goal scorer. But if you've got him, you're still alive. Johnson kicks to himself and then kicks the Pies outside defensive 50. Bellchambers gets rid of Jolly and should have taken a mark but fumbles, and the ball's socket away towards the boundary line, and we get a throw in. Members side of the MCG. Grey and overcast and a ripping sou'wester. Here's the throw in. Bellchambers from the back. Ball comes underneath. Hocking surely was taken high, umpire. Comes out Collingwood's way. Wellingham to Pendlebury. He's caught by Davey in a good tackle. Loses it. Davey gathers now on the 50. It's jolted out of his hands. Might come Essendon's way. Played for the free kick, but the whistle didn't blow. The umpire letting a few things go. Pendlebury works at the side bottom. His hand pass is taken by Monfries, who backs into Swan, gets the hand pass away. Watson has it now. Hand passes up, and a snap by Paddy Ryder is offline and goes out of bounds on the full, missing the behind post by about 5 metres. Essendon are behind. Collingwood yet to score.
Side bottom with the resulting kick into play. He's able to crib around the boundary line and play on. Dab it outside the defensive 50 for Johnson. They're all manned up further afield. Johnson will have to lob it into the contest. Jolly stands in the middle. Bellchambers beat him to it. He didn't quite bring it down though. Pendlebury goes off the ground, gains some territory for the Pies. Dawes has to turn tackler. He's caught playing from behind. Hibbert needed to be okay, and he was. He was able to release it to Pears, but his kick is cut off. Intercepted by Blair. Blair's going to use Beams. Beams goes inside the 50, and side bottom has ghosted forward to take the mark. 30 out.
Good play by Blair. Quick move. Just a little dab kick to get into the open, and then there's free space. Free space so they can move it forward. But good, smart thinking. He shouldn't have handballed because it would have been a loop, but a good, quick kick by Blair. Just put it into the open.
Steele side bottom. There's no angle whatsoever to deal with. It's going to pierce it through the swirling wind at ground level. For the first of Anzac Day, side bottom leans back on it, finds the major opening. Collingwood get the first, probably against the run of play. The Bombers are behind.
Absolutely, Jerry. It was against the run of play. Cramley's tackle over there 2 or 3 times where he put pressure on the opposition. And then there's Owen Davey put pressure there. They should have had a couple of goals out of that, and they missed them. And they missed their opportunity. Monfries' kick in. It had an easy shot, I thought, from 45, and you've got to nail those. And all of a sudden, after all that pressure they applied and kept it in there, they ran it up once, straight into their 50, and goals with side bottom.
Whitey.
Yeah, Drew, just an early concern for Collingwood. Scott Pendlebury's gone downstairs. Not sure why. He seemed to move okay, but down to be examined by the medical team.
Well, I think he got a high hit in the middle, which went undetected. They've only played 1 free kick so far. In the middle, Bellchambers gets the ball down. Swan gets a kick out of congestion up towards the front edge of the 50. It's overrun by Dawes. Dawes gets another chance just outside the 50. Sweeps a hand pass out. Taken by Fasolo. Chopped off by Bell Chambers for Essendon. He bumbles a kick along the ground. Swan charges at the awkward bouncing ball. Kicks to full forward. Fletcher stretches but can't take the mark. The hand pass comes out. A little kick by side bottom is no good. Off the side of his boot. He turned away in disgust.
It's a free kick. He said for a tap on, which is a throw, they said.
The kick by accident landed in the arms of his teammate Beams, but the free kick has gone to the opposition and is taken by Stanton, who goes short to Fletcher. It is 1 goal Collingwood, 1 behind Essendon.
Fletcher staring outside the defensive 50 on the long kick. He'll set it up in Bell Chambers' direction. Perfectly weighted ball just falls into his grasp. He releases the runner in Dyson. Dyson puts it in the Jetta direction. Jetta gets rid of Tuvey but then drops the mark. Tuvey's back in the play. Jetta harasses him off the footy. It's still to be won. Cramry takes a tackle, rolls back up, hand pass to Jetta, sidestep through, brought down by Tuvey, who stayed in it. Dyson gets some sort of kick away. It rolls at the goal front. And it's escorted through for a behind. Maxwell choosing not to take possession. 2 behinds Essendon, 1 goal Collingwood.
There's some heat out there when you get the ball, isn't it? You got half a second, bang, gone.
Well, the crowd calling ball, ball, time after time. So far, just 2 free kicks have been paid in 6 minutes, 1 each. Johnson kicks out for the Pies. Oh, standing his ground in front. Bell Chambers has started well. Takes the mark, squares the ball in. A chance here for Howlett, who goes from 50, but he's away to the left-hand side. And Essendon still looking for their first goal. They're 3 behinds. Collingwood 1 goal.
Adam White.
Jared, Scott Pendlebury is okay. He's trotting back onto the field, part of a rotation. Joe Watson coming on as well. A couple of the Essendon players wearing long sleeves today. For Melksham, it lasted 6 minutes. He's going back to the short sleeve version.
Maxwell plays on from the kick in. Out into the pocket, long in the Wellingham direction. It cleared him. It'll sit there for Hibbard to get onto for Essendon, and he delivers it back to half forward. Heppel stands in front. He takes the mark. 2 good kicks out from goal. Carlisle is deep. Cramry in that direction. They're the 2 flyers for Essendon. Carlisle stands his ground. Cramry probably spoiled his own man. It spills off hands and out of play.
Plenty of heat in the game on a cool day. 1 goal to 3 behinds. Collingwood lead. Here's a throw in the Bombers' forward pocket. Bell Chambers palms it almost into the midriff of his opponent, Jolly. They hit the ground, and the umpire will ball it up again.
Drew, Bell Chambers is just monstering Jolly. In the air, in the ruck contest, he's all over him.
Well, he did it to Cruiser last week, and they lock arms. This time Jolly gets a hand of the ball. It's socket forward for the Bombers. Hand pass comes to Johnson from Brown. And the spoil sees the ball over the boundary line, and the Bombers have kept it on the forward line. And they've got another chance here with the throw in the forward pocket.
Bell Chambers and Jolly. You'll probably give that to Bell Chambers, trying to get through the pack. Was Watson. He released it to Monfries. This time the flying shot at goal is on target. And Monfries does get the Bombers first. That's 6 minutes after he might have pinched it around the first time. 1-3-9 to 1 straight. 8 minutes played.
Well, we're only 8 minutes in, as you said, Jared. And Drew, I think you caught it beautifully. What did they do to Carlton last week? They kept it forward of centre for as long as possible until they scored. Well, that's all we've seen. Collingwood have taken that opportunity the first time in and side bottom kicked the goal. But certainly in the first 8 minutes, we've seen it a long time, or most of the time inside the Essendon forward 50, or it's certainly forward of centre. And they're making the most of their opportunities. And on that occasion, a wonderful finish, a really, really wonderful finish by Mumfries.
Yeah, the inside 50s are 6-3 in favour of the Bombers. Jolly wins this hit out. Still a contest in the middle. Hacked out of the air by Howlett towards half forward. Swan gets back there. He's harassed out of it by Davey. Davey, a will-o'-the-wisp, coming off a heap of goals last week. They're still going forward here, Essendon. Until Brown gathers for the Pies. Gets the hand pass away to Tuvey. He's dumped and the ball spills free. Back outside the 50. Gathered by Marty Clark. Hand pass back to his skipper Maxwell, who kicks out towards the centre wing. Nearly out of bounds on the full. It is. And Fletcher, who'd come up the ground, takes the free kick quickly with no one standing the mark. Bang! Back towards centre half forward. Big leap by Ryder. It comes to the front to Davey. The whistle's gone. It's against Paddy Ryder. And it's a free kick to Collingwood to be taken by Keefe. And there's Only been 3 kicks in the game so far in nearly 10 minutes.
Keith hand passes to Swan, sideways to Johnson. They'll bring it out the members' boundary. Out for Clark, who has a bounce, looks downfield, delivers long, aimless. I'm not sure who that was for, but Heppel was always better placed against Beams on the weighting of the kick. He switches play across half back to Monfries, who's working both ends. Around the wing he comes for Howlett. He'll have a look for the option up at the 50. Watson is trundling in that direction. He looked to play on. Tuvey came in at him. Watson up to full forward. Ryder playing 3 deep. Keith the spoil across the front and the crumb. Ryder can't stick the tackle. And the Magpie defender is cool, Keith, as he delivers out to Jolly.
And Jolly, a hand pass to Swan going past, who hits Cloak on the chest at centre wing. Long way up the ground, Travis Cloak.
50 metres,
and
Drew.
50 metres, so when he gets 50, he'll be just about kicking for goal. Hooker getting over the mark. So Hooker on the mark, about 51 metres out, and you would have to say Cloak within range, needing to kick from about 55 metres. Pies going to the punt road end in the first quarter. Left foot drop, punt is way off target. High and hasn't got the distance. Comes down to the front. Another chance for the little blokes to see if they can snare a goal. It is reaped out of there by Hibbard. He goes towards the defensive 50. O'Brien is there. Comes down to the front to Zaharakis. A little hand pass away. And up the ground from Heppel. Contested centre wing. Maxwell wins it. Gets the hand pass back to Brown. Inboard to Buckley. And the mark now taken at half forward by Beams, who squares the ball in, but the kick is astray and it has been chopped off for the Bombers.
Howlett was the man who arrived in the nick of time. Hand pass to Zaharakis, out to half back for Watson. He'll give some ground to Dyson. Collingwood with the press now in full effect, and Dyson's in trouble. He got tackled and dispossessed by Sidebottom. Up they come with it, the Pies. Beams to full forward. There's nobody home, and it trickles away next to the behind post.
I think they've set the standard. They're not going to play too many free kicks here today.
Let them play. Right forward pocket for Collingwood. Trailing by 3 points at the throw-in. Dawes got it underfoot. Bombers got onto it initially. Hardingham dispossessed. Swan pulled it out of the pack. Snap and goal. Dane Swan, instinctive stuff. Collingwood by 3 points. 2 straight to 1-3.
All set up by Sidebottom. Sidebottom kicked the goal, and then that tackle on Dyson Heppel, which was just sensational. More pressure. Put the pressure on. Keep the ball inside 50. The little things that count. The tiny little things. Doesn't go down to stats. Doesn't look too flash for the people in the crowd, but the teammates know. And then they push it forward, and they get a ball up or whatever they got, and then Swan's on it. And the brilliance of Swan, he can see he's on today. He's ready to roll. He's been in every bit of the play. He's quick. He's strong, he's tough, he understands the game very, very well. And I tell you what he can do, he can kick a goal and he can sniff one out. He's a genius at it.
7 possessions already, 2 of them contested, 2 clearances, 1 inside 50 and a goal. The bounce in the middle, Ryder on the ball for the Bombers, hands to it. Lonergan charges in and rolls over it. Got to get it out. Umpire circling. He lets it go, as is their want so far in this game. Melksham gathers, head down, caught by Dawes. Umpire says, dead heat. Give it to me, I'm going to ball it up. Collingwood 2 goals, Essendon 1-3. We've been playing 13 and a half minutes.
There's plenty around it. There's Dawes and Ryder form up. Ryder uses his jump to win the tap, but Pendlebury extricates it from the pack. High ball out to the southern wing for Solo one direction, Watson the other. It bobbled away from them. Seedsman took it, they all took him. It's in dispute underfoot. Seedsman did his absolute darndest to release that. He was able to get the footy to Pendlebury, but there was no escape for Scott. So scrimmage out on the southern wing. 2 ruckmen again. Ryder's superior body position, and it falls the way of Watson. He'll kick it up to a reasonably open forward line. Now it's away from them initially, and Keefe will get there in defence. Hand pass to O'Brien, who's got some room to move. He uses it short for Goldsack, leading up at him. Centre wing, broadcast side. And Goldsack's just not terribly sure.
So he squares the ball inside the centre square. Great to see Brown back. He takes the mark, having missed 18 months of football. Beautiful kick by Brown. Out to Swan, who's burning. His kick up to half forward. Oh, Wellingham went one-handed, not good enough.
Oh.
The ball centred here for Collingwood. Pendlebury has a chance, but cleared out of there by Monfries, but not well. Beams marks 40 out and tries to get it back towards goal and didn't get any distance on the kick. It might have been touched off the boot. It's in the goal square now and is seen over the goal line for a rush behind of the Pies. They go to 2-1, Essendon 1-3, and we've been playing 15 minutes.
Good pressure again.
Yes, the kick in from Fletcher wasn't great. And with a real task was Melksham. He's able to release it, but they've lost it. Sinclair kicks across the face of goal. It was the only place he couldn't go because Essendon had a stronghold. Monfries, he used Hibbert, he kicked it for Watson, he missed the target. Seedsman knocks it down to Wellingham, kicked a full forward again. Bombers with all the numbers back. Oh, Hardingham made a real meal of that. Sinclair to Jolly, who surely threw it. Not so. Beans knocked off his kick. Melksham just has to clear the area in a hell of a hurry. He's kicked a 70-metre torpedo around the wing. Jetterett's knocked away from him. Falls the way of Johnson. Collingwood back to the 50. It skids past for Solo. Melksham onto it. Hardingham's kick is partially smothered. Pears knocks it back to him. We've got to find the way out. Hibbert kicks it outside the defensive 50. Swan on the interception. Lets the traffic go by. Releases Johnson. Runs at Fletcher. Breaks the tackle. Hand pass into the pocket. Buckley's a good kick. Not this time. He screwed it too hard to the near side. Behind Collingwood by 5. Adam White.
Jared, we're already seeing it a lot, is that it's just so swirly, the breeze, and it's very fluky. Nick Maxwell coming down the line here on the members' side, kicking it out on the full, misjudged marks. It's very, very windy.
Dyson goes the short option into the back pocket. And now the kick towards half-back flank. And flying in front, Cramry. Fresh from a big scoring day last week. Takes a mark. This time he's at half-back. Goes short out to Melksham and barely went the 15 required. Melksham on the boundary line. Kicks over the wing. Harry O'Brien backs back to make it 2-1 in favour of Collingwood. And Brown, he's returned to football as though he hasn't missed a minute. Good mark. Hand pass to Pendlebury, peeling out round the back. Kicks across the half-back line with plenty of penetration. Beautifully delivered, and Tooby has taken the mark just outside the painted 50. 14-9, Collingwood lead. Tooby's kick up towards centre wing. It's punched from behind by the Bombers. Duped off the deck by Tooby. Gets the hand pass to Clark. Clark, a long kick inside the 50. Mark not taken. Goldsack on the forward line. Hurried kick out wide into the pocket. Side bottom's been good, but the ball beats him over the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in the forward pocket. Swans had 9 touches. Ben Johnson 8.
Magpies in attack at the throw-in. Bill Chambers won the tap. Dyson got it underfoot. Kicked the Bombers outside the defensive 50. Jetta dropped the mark. He paddles out toward the boundary and over that line. So Jetta and Melksham, who both started in the long sleeves, abandoned them before the halfway mark of the opening term. Jolly at half forward for the Pies down near Swan. Didn't take it. Seedsman did. Hand pass was a bit wide for Blair. And over the boundary again. Adam.
Jared, smart play by Jetta and Melksham, trying to channel James Hird on Anzac Day by wearing the long sleeves.
Right half forward still for the Pies. Jolly getting his hand to it. He feeds Swan. Hand pass to side bottom. Another kick inside the 50. Cloak's got the field to beat, and Heppel comes in across the front with good courage to mark.
Terrific mark for a kid who hasn't missed a game since he debuted last year. Kicks across the ground, gets it outside the 50. Clark is in a good contest here with Stanton. And the Pies win it.
Oh, great handball.
Harry O'Brien works it up to Wellingham. Off to Johnson, who's flying. A beautiful centering ball. Oh, just over the head of Fasolo. Thought he was taller than he was, but he's only a midget. Chance for Bell Chambers. He loses it in a tackle. Cleared by Zaharakis straight up the ground. Melksham has it. The whistle's gone. It's coming back. It's going to be a free kick to Essendon. Way back in defensive 50 to Zaharakis. Collingwood 2-2 lead. Essendon 1-3.
Zaharakis dinks it into the pocket. Heppel taking the mark. We have a look outside the defensive area, and Howlett has made good space for him at half-back. He wanted an option down the line. None was really forthcoming. Howlett's a bit stuck here. He's been called to play on. He'll loft it around the wing. It's a shocking kick. Actually, it was touched off the boot. Beams made a mess of it, but it's got time to regather. Hand pass near for Solo, trying to spin through. They got him, holding the ball. At last, somebody wins holding the ball. It's Zaharakis.
Free kicks are 3-2 in favour of the Bombers.
And the Bombers were very sure of themselves earlier. They're not so now. They've been tackled very hard and hit hard, and it's made a big difference.
Kick by Zaharakis over the wing. Punch towards the boundary line. Grabbed by Carlisle, who gains some metres with a hand pass. Harry O'Brien does beautifully and works it into Johnson, who's brought his own footy. Johnson's kicked to half forward, and the long arms of Fletcher come over the back and go bang straight back out of bounds. He is a marvel. Played way back in that first one in 95, which was the famous draw. Boundary throw in. Jolly tries to take clean possession. Comes to Watson. And did he say Jolly threw it? Yep. Free kick goes to Bell Chambers. On centre wing, southern stand side.
Bell Chambers, he's decided on the short option. It probably carried further than he intended. Maxwell gets there to make the spoil in front of Carlisle, and it slips away out of play. Essendon haven't been forward for a while. It's on the left flank as they push towards the city end. Jolly took front position, put it down underfoot, and there was nothing further with Zaharakis. Oh, there is. Zaharakis has got in the back here. And it's Blair who rises with the free kick. He goes quickly for Collingwood out to the wing. Sidebottom's first mistake. He spills a mark, but he's got time to get back onto it. Drops it onto the left boot, high in the Cloak direction. The whole field converges against him. Cloak goes the spoil, which was a good play. He put it out there in front of Blair, who shimmies his way clear and opens play up to half forward. Pendlebury was on his own. He'll feed it onto Wellingham. Fletcher closes on him, so he has to retreat through Pendlebury. He'll kick it up to full forward. Goldsack playing from behind, and he did it well. He got Hibbert under the contest. And Tyson Goldsack takes the mark, barely 15 metres from goal.
Well, I think as Whitey said, Jared, he just got caught out by the swirliness of the breeze, and that ball carried a lot further than it ever thought was going to fall.
Well, he's done this in a grand final before, Tyson Goldsack, switching forward to good effects. He should get his first. He hasn't. The gasps of the Collingwood faithful lead you to that conclusion. He's pushed that well across the face of goal for a behind. It's the Pies by 6.
Gives you one reason why you should never turn your back on the goals, because Blair was on his own in the goal square and was screaming for it, but he just turned his back completely and walked back slowly. Always turn straight away. Poor move.
Yeah, interesting move to have Goldsack forward. He's kicked 8 goals in 73 games. The kick has reached centre wing. Keefe, the Queenslander, gets back there, finds Brown by hand, and Brown's kick is wide on this occasion and out of bounds on the full. Still, his return has been full of merit. Free kick taken by Dyson. Short pass to Watson, centre wing. Down the line he goes. Cramery, well, just too much for him, and flips off the fingers and goes out of bounds, and we have a throw in at half forward, Essendon's right half forward flank. 23 minutes played. A massive crowd. And grey and overcast, but so far no rain during play. From the throw in, ball comes to Sinclair, who spirals the ball way over the circles in the centre of the ground. Tempted punch away by Pears, goes nowhere. Attempted fly hack out of there by Fletcher, he missed it. Seedsman gathers for the Pies. They're down towards the 50. And now Hocking, robbed of the ball by Dawes. Hand pass to Swan, who's playing a blinder. He kicks to the goal square. It bounces end on end and misses to the right-hand side and goes through for a minor score. Dane Swan's had 11 possessions, kicked 1-1. Collingwood are 2-4 to 1-3.
The defenders would like their moments again then. Made a meal of it, but weren't quite made to pay. The kick-in is going to be a long one, but it's not really to anyone. Dawes always had the sit in the pack. Melksham was about their only hope. He was well outsized. To full forward goes Dawes. The ball swirls around again. Oh, I think Hibbert's done his hamstring as he's come up at this. He's cast.
Gone.
So he is going to be out of the game, Michael Hibbert.
Another soft tissue.
Corey Dell'Olio, who's in his second game, will be taking the vest off immediately. So this soft tissue curse, which has a hold of the Bombers, claims Hibbert after time on of the first term.
Gee, that's got to be a worrying sign.
How many can you absorb? So the Bombers
That's
in
a lot,
the
isn't
back
it?
pocket.
That
it
is a massive number now.
That would be 10, I fancy.
Yeah, there's trouble looming here.
Hooker kicked it to Fletcher, who's popped it up in the air on the breeze. Good luck marking it. Melksham up over the top of Watson. They spoiled each other. Beams at ground level, feeds a hand pass out to Clark. If he could release it to Buckley, it was intercepted on the way through. Sharp work from Howlett, but his kick's a shocker going forward because the lone man back is Harry O'Brien. He has a bit of a fumble. He looks outside the defensive area, and side bottom is his outrider.
They let him on his own though, Harry. He's been down there on his own the whole quarter. No one touching him. They're mad.
Well, that's how he played himself back into form last week.
Well, if you've got no one on you, Drew, it's pretty easy.
Yep. Simon Buckley with a kick down the line. Oh, clever one-hander taken by Cloak. Gee whiz, how did he do that? Under pressure from Hooker. And Cloak kicks it a mile down towards the forward pocket. Fletcher, marked in the same direction as the ball. A terrific mark there by Hardiman. And he kicks the ball across the ground where Carlisle takes the mark at centre half back. Short pass, and he finds Stanton still at half back. 16-9, a 7-point lead to Collingwood. In short, Melksham marks, steers a pass. There's a sitting duck and putting on a spoil is Cloak. And Cloak gathers and goes for the short pass rather than the big kick for goal. Look for Dawes, missed him, taken by Fletcher. Fletcher's hand pass. Up to Melksham, who ducks a high tackle. Fletcher gets him out of trouble again with a kick that pitches just inside the line and goes out in between half-back and centre wing. They're under pressure, the Essendon defence, but gee, it should have been a Collingwood goal.
Pies by 7, thrown in forward of the wing for them. Swan gets hold of it again. He's got all the time in the world. He hand passes back to Blair, who ran into a dead end. Swan still playing in slow motion. His kick's not that good this time. Melksham gets a hand onto it. Cloak against the boundary, right from the paint, feeds it inboard to Seedsman. They're all over him. And the umpire will bounce. Adam White.
Okay, as everyone knew in this stadium, Michael Hibbert has done the hamstring. It's a right hamstring. It's been assessed. He's out of the game. Diolio is about to come on as Essendon sub.
That ball went out of bounds, but it wasn't seen by the boundary umpire. This ball comes to Blair. He's rolled over. Flipped out for the Bombers. Into the path of Davey, who gathers just behind the wing. Concedes some ground. Back to Zaharakis. Steers the pass to Paddy Rido, who marks on the logo centre wing. Chance for the Bombers to go forward here and see what they can do with this Collingwood defence. The kick over the head of Cramry. Here's Harry on his own again. He gathers the bouncing ball. Hand pass away to side bottom. And they're doing as they please back there. Side bottom lopes away. Has a bounce or two. Touches it down. Little kick over the top. Beams takes the mark. Great Southern stand side. Forward of the wing. Still a 7-point lead to Essendon. We haven't had a score for a while. The kick towards the 50. And a punch away from behind by Bell Chambers. Sees the ball out of play.
So Hibbert had 7 disposals before he did his hamstring. He sits atop the Essendon sheet, but he's out of business. Pies by 7 points, thrown in. Jolly pushes it defensive side of the pack, opens things up for side bottom. He's going to kick it up to full forward. Cloak's in the pack. The siren beat the drop. Had it not peeled, I fancy Cloak was going to grab it 5 metres from goal. And there's a question as to whether that ball rolled on and through for a behind. It's been waved away as no score, although it was a reasonable point for Cloak to make, I think, because he let it land once the siren sounded. Collingwood lead 2-4-16 over Essendon 1-3-9. So the Bombers made the best of it early. Monfries with their goal, and the Pies pegged them back and controlled things late. Side bottom and Swan a goal apiece. Quarter time on Anzac Day. It's Collingwood by 7 on Grandstand AFL. Making for a slightly brighter scene. A murky day in Melbourne with heavy cloud overhead. Into the second term we go. Bell Chambers and Jolly stare at each other across the middle circle. Bell Chambers gets his fingertips to it in the leaping contest. It's buried underfoot. Blair was able to release it. Watson got hold of him and the ball, and it stays.
Essendon led the inside 50s in the first half of that first quarter, but Collingwood just overran them towards the end and finished up 19-11.
Secondary bounce. Bell Chambers tried to get it to Watson, knocked away from him. Dyson's kick was partially smothered. Blair got hold of it. He again was dispossessed. He's the man over the footy If he hadn't released that, he was going to get penalised. It spilled out the way of Zaharakis. High ball to half forward. Cramry in front. Brown made the spoil over the top. Tuvi's the dasher onto it at half back for Collingwood. He's bounced it out toward the boundary. It stays in. Dyson gets hold of it away from Wellingham. Oh, cruel bouncing ball for Buckley. Fell the way of Cramry. Put it out in front of Davey. He got buffeted off it. Still he goes, Davey. It spills the way, though, of Harry O'Brien. Cool in defence. Hand pass to Johnson. Short ball for Pendlebury at half back.
Nobody stands his mark, so he gets on the gallop and kicks the ball into the middle of the ground. Why wouldn't you give it a side bottom? He's killing them. He marks, gets it out to Keefe on the run from defence. He kicks to half forward and virtually unchallenged, 2/3 of the length of the ground. Fasolo takes a mark until he's kicked at Cloak's not all that flash. He had to dive in and, he gets a high tackle. He's a bit lucky. He had to dive in and get that ball on the half volley. And now with the free kick, he's outside the boundary line at the start of his run-up. He'd be kicking from about 55 metres.
Seen this before though, Drew.
He wouldn't be the roughest show to kick this.
Saw this grand final day last year.
Yep. Kicked 10 goals, 7 so far this season. Cloak opens the angle a little bit. His drop punt is magnificent. And gee whiz, hits the right-hand goalpost. Gee, that was a good kick, wasn't it?
He can hit him well, but then he hits him terrible sometimes.
Kick in for the Bombers is marked by Melksham. Looking outside the defensive area, he drags the kick boundary side. Hooker was his target, kept away from him by side bottom. They grapple, the ball spills away out of play. 60 out from the Magpies' goal. Bill Chambers planted himself in front. Jolly works him over and taps it cleanly down to Buckley. Sinclair was his target inside the 50. Heppel made the spoil. Melksham's on the tidy up. He uses Heppel and on it goes to Hooker. His kick outside the defensive area is good for Zaharakis and he can study what's ahead.
Kicks it in towards the centre square and he finds Bell Chambers. Didn't look likely to get there, but finished up the long arms of Bell Chambers, hauled it in. His kick is not great for Davey. Tapped away by Keefe, who's standing up in defence this season. Through Johnson it goes to Buckley. Long kick to centre half forward. It's all Essendon and the mark's taken by Hooker. He gets the hand pass away to Hardingham. Straight down the ground he goes to Howlett. All the H's combining. In it comes to Dyson. Oh, he weaves around, gets the hand pass away, and they run down. One hand pass too many. The tackle was laid by Goldsack. Advantage taken for Collingwood. Jolly's given it up. Oh.
Good
mark is taken by Beams under pressure. He kicks out wide. It was looking for side bottom, but knocked away by Jetta. Side bottom regathers. Jetta goes and gets another one. Lays a terrific tackle on Wellingham. The ball's up towards half forward. It spills to Wellingham again from 55. A centering ball. Goldsack gets a half volley. Can't control it. Comes to Beams, 40 metres from goal. Hand pass to Pendlebury. He looks a show. One way, then the other. On the right boot. Kicks to Cloak, who juggles and marks, plays on, and will kick the goal. Cloak's first for the afternoon. If Collingwood go to 3-5 to Essendon 1-3. Essendon already one man down and looking a bit shaky for the Bombers, who've won all their games so far for the season.
Great setup, but the big key there was Goldsack charged at the ball. The real contest. It looked like Fletcher was going to get there first, but no. Goldsack, who really wanted it more than anyone else, got there first, put a little hand on the ball, pushed it forward, didn't end up with it, but all of a sudden it stayed inside their forward line. It wasn't a free kick to someone else. And then around they go and a short kick over the top, Pendlebury with his brilliance, and then also Cloak, who's just a tower of strength. But Goldsack, sometimes you don't have to put a stat on the board to be a real value to your side, and Goldsack was terrific there.
Collingwood by 14 points, bounce back in the middle of the G. Bell Chambers won the tap, Howlett's onto the footy. He squeezes a kick out to half forward. Cramry came up, Brown made the spoil, Ryder at the drop. Hand pass for Delolio. He runs into goal and his kick slews out to the right. Under pressure from behind from Tuvey. And the sub starts with that minor score. Collingwood by 13.
He was nearly going to kick a goal with his first kick in the AFL on Anzac Day.
He didn't let go. He should have let go real hard because he doesn't actually understand how fast they run, these blokes.
Beams' kick up towards centre wing. Heppel puts plenty of pressure on. Comes to Swan, who hand passes up in the air. Monfries gathers. And now Lonergan. Heppel bowled over. Ball jolted out of his arms, grabbed by Fletcher. He kicks inside the 50. Oh, Maxwell's back there, nearly caught in possession. Brown also. How's the umpire see that? Oh, pinned in, and every Essendon player saying, how's that bowling the ball? Going to be a ball up 40 metres out right in front. 23-10. Pies lead by 13.
Bombers need one from this 4A forward. Jolly's knocked it goal side of the pack, but he also gets back onto it. Ran into a dead end. Delolio, great tackle, spills the way of Howlett, who rolls it at goal. It's across the face. Tantalisingly close. It is a behind. 1-5 to 3-5.
2 behinds to Ben Howlett. O'Brien kicks into Johnson, deep in the back pocket. Kicks to half-back flank. A juggle. Did Marty Clark get first and second touch? Clown says the umpire. Clark gets his kick away. Up to centre wing. Blair is there and taken over the boundary line in a bone-crunching tackle by Crameri. And a throw in at true centre wing, southern stand side. Adam White.
Drew, I'm not sure of Brent Stanton's stats, but Marty Clark is going everywhere Stanton goes, and Clark has got the endurance to stay with Stanton. It's a good win for the Magpies.
Reached the back of the pack. Hawking off to Jetta, who seemed to get dispossessed. He got a second go at it. Howlett had his kick smothered by Wellingham. Oh, you can't get through. Wellingham hit Lonergan solidly with a tackle. Stopped him in his tracks.
You know what, though, Jared? They cannot put a score on Collingwood. At this stage, Essendon are still hanging in there. They've been flogged for 20 minutes in a row and still are not out of this game.
In the centre square. Jolly down to Swan, had a rare fumble. Melksham off the ground, put it out in front of Jetta, paddles to his own advantage. He gets hold of it. Oh, they hit him hard. One of those was surely high. Nothing doing from the umpire. Johnson brings it away for the Pies. He kicks around the wing. Dawes has got some company. Pears gets hold of him, dispossesses him. Ball spills to Pendlebury, toes it down the line, gains 25 metres out of play.
Now, following up on what Adam White said, yes, Stanton's had just 2 touches for the game. Now, he had 36 possessions last week, and the week before he was into the 40s. So he has had a remarkably quiet game. Ball bobbles around here a bit. Marty Clark gathers. Kick goes nowhere. Pendlebury takes it. Spun round on the tackle by Stanton. And the ball goes over the boundary line. Again, all Essendon players saying, holding the ball, umpire. But the umpires are letting a free-flowing game go. Free kicks is 5-4 in favour of the Bombers. Scoreboard 3-5 to 1-5. Collingwood. 8.5 minutes played in the second quarter. And the throw in. Bell Chambers beats Jolly, but hits it down to his opponent. Now they play a bit of volleyball. Out towards the boundary. Taken by Swan. It doesn't look quick, but he runs away from blokes easily. He's turned one way, then the other. Has a bounce and centres the ball, but his kick not as good as he's dancing. And the mark's taken by Hardingham at half-back.
He worked the hand pass away to Hooker. He's under enormous pressure from Cloak. He can't drop Cloak. He'll have to give the hand pass 30 metres backward to Fletcher. Needs the kick to be precise, and it is for Melksham, who can play on round the members' wing. He'll run his full measure. Kick on the left boot. I suppose it wasn't really to the advantage of Crameri, and Brown was able to make the spoil over the shoulder. So Crameri, who's been stone cold so far, rises with the ball 70 from goal. He's gone for Monfries in the pockets. Jolly made the spoil over the top. Ryder against the behind line, dribbled it at the goal front. Almost got it there. Wellingham cannons into the post. He didn't like the extra push he got from Ryder. They remonstrate. The ball touched that post. It's going to be thrown in. Forward pocket for Essendon. Jolly knocked it to the open side of the pack. Johnson down by Bell Chambers, who had some claim at holding the ball. He doesn't get it. It's 25 out from the Bombers' goal.
We've got to get a score here, Jared. They've been on the last 5 minutes, the Bombers.
Essendon out tackling their opponents because they haven't had the ball. 41 tackles to 26. Bell Chambers, Swan, dispossessed in a tackle again. Crameri slings the ball out, taken by O'Brien. You're right, they've got to do something to stop him. Ball comes to Carlisle. He gets some support. Dyson goes back. Fletcher back to Carlisle, still inside the centre square, but about 70 metres from goal. Going to the punt road end, the Bombers in the second term. Down to Ryder in the pocket. It clears him. Delolio gathers and Oh, snaps to goal, but it goes right across the face and out of bounds in the opposite pocket. This youngster from South Fremantle, not that young, 22-year-old, playing his second game. Came on early as a sub.
Having a real fling at the moment, the Bombers. Jolly knocks it down to the front. Almost took a turn for Lonergan. Swan worked over. In the pack, Cramry gets hold of it. Inefficient with his hand pass. He'll have to follow on. He's onto it. Two of them bring him down in a tackle outside the 50, so the Bombers leaked a lot of ground in that from stoppage to stoppage.
Brown's done a super job on Cramry. Absolutely destroyed him. He's hardly touched the ball. Big turnaround from last week.
50 from the Essendon goal. Ryder flicked it back over his head. Blair was awake to it. Dragged off his kick by Howlett. Pendlebury gets hold of it at the back of the pack. Hand pass to O'Brien and now on to Swan. Feeds the ball up to Beams. Lightning hand pass to Pendlebury. Had to get rid of it in a hurry. It was untidy. Carlisle makes the interception for the Bombers and he'll use it out for Dyson.
Oh, Dyson's cornered. Just gets away from side bottom. Kicks it out wide where the mark's taken by Hooker. Near the boundary line, centre wing. Kicks towards half forward. Good mark. Dragged down in front here by Howlett. Gets the hand pass away. Monfries goes for goal. They need it badly and he's missed to the right-hand side for a behind. Angus Monfries, 1 goal, 2. The Essendon score of 1-6 and Collingwood 3-5. Could look back on this 1-6 scoreline and say this is where we cost ourselves.
Keith. He's going to try long with the kick in. It's a difficult kick on a day such as this. Maxwell got there but couldn't mark it. Side bottom under pressure from Jetta. Hand pass to Johnson under pressure from Davey. Backward he goes to Buckley. The kick is tipped on the way out, so it'll fall to Beams, but it's play on with the call. Feeds the hand pass out in front of side bottom. Gathers this on the southern wing. Delivers it low down for Cloak, hard to handle. He breaks away from Hooker, puts it up inside the 50 for Solo and Hardingham. Hardingham made the spoil, underfoot it came. Blair is dragged down in the tackle, in the back. In the back. The tackle looked all right initially from Dell'Olio, and the Pies will run on, and Blair kicks it from the goal line. Collingwood repelled a lot of Essendon pressure, and with a bit of good fortune, I think, 4-5-29 to Essendon 1-6-12.
Well, that was just unbelievable. I couldn't believe it was a free kick there, but you know what? Essendon fought hard for the last 10 minutes to try and resurrect their little scoreboard there. 1 goal, 6 at this stage. Now they're a long, long way behind after that goal. But they had opportunity after opportunity, and the Pies were good enough to beat them. Pies were good enough to keep defending, and good luck to them there. But that free kick there against Dell'Olio was just absolutely unbelievable. There's no way known it was. Poor decision by the umpire, but that's the game.
Bounce back in the middle. Ryder wins the hit out. Watson taken to ground. Wellingham slung down. Ball spills to Beams. Standing start, a high ball to full forward. And getting back there is Hooker, who should have taken the mark. Clears out of defence towards the boundary line. And the Collingwood players, Seedsman leading the way, saying, how about that for deliberate? Not paying those today. It'll be a throw in between wing and half forward. Dawes in the ruck against Ryder. Punched forward by Seedsman. Taken by Zaharakis of Essendon. A high ball just over the wing. O'Brien is there, no mark. Leaping high, Brown. Comes to Lonergan. Hand pass back to Ryder. Off to Davey, who breaks from the logo centre wing. Hand pass on to Watson. Hand pass to Zaharakis for the second time in the movement. And this time, the Bombers are home for the goal. Just their second for the game. 14 and a half minutes into the second quarter.
Well, they needed that, the Bombers. And unfortunately, the goal to Blair just snapped that 5 or so minutes of forward pressing that Essendon were able to actually put on the Collingwood team. And you brought up a really good point, Mark. Collingwood were good enough to withstand it. They went forward the very first time and kicked the goal the other end. Essendon needed one. They needed one to say to themselves, we're still in this game. We're on the scoreboard. We need a goal quick. And Zaharakis is the one who actually kicked truly on the run. Good goal.
Collingwood by 11 points. Despite all the hubbub, there's 4 pigeons scrafting away in the centre square. Not to be disturbed. They flutter away as the bounce hits the turf. Ryder probably got the tap. It'll fall the way of Hocking. He was dispossessed by Pendlebury, who got caught over the footy by Watson. The umpire in for the secondary bounce.
Worms must be tasty, mustn't they?
Yes.
If you can ignore what's going on around you.
Diligent, aren't they? Outside the 2 circles. Whacked into the ground. Ryder won the tap. Lonergan's onto the footy. Hand pass to Zaharakis. The Bombers go forward with reasonable penetration too. O'Brien, though, comes across the front. And as the third man up into the pack, he's able to take the mark. Use it out sideways for Marty Clark. He's had a bounce and a second to reach halfback. He's still got some room to move. Long with his kick, past halfway. Jolly almost at the second attempt, not to be. Sinclair pries it out. Hand pass to Pendlebury. Forward of the play, he went with a blind hand pass. Cut off by Carlisle. Ball still in dispute, though, right against the boundary. And I doubt that will come out without the intervention of an umpire.
Gee, a couple of weeks ago, Harry might have been nearly for the chop after being carved up by Eddie Betts. But he was great last week and going well again, Harry O'Brien. Bounce centre wing. Ryder wins the hit out. Comes down to... gets the hand pass away. Spills to the edge of the pack. A little hand pass by Buckley back to Tuvey. Forward to Pendlebury, who swivels out of a tackle and kicks inside the 50. Cloak is there. The ball runs on. Swan in the forward pocket. Went to ground. Regathers his footing. Lays a tackle on Stanton, who just can't get warm. Hot here for the Essendon defence. Oh, Heppel does well. And gets the hand pass out. And they've cleared the 50. Cramry with Brown. Cramry can't get a touch either. A little toe poke by Maxwell. Perfect. Out to Buckley. Beautiful pass, and the mark to Cloak just outside 50. Toe pokes at the MCG have decided premierships. That was a beauty by Maxi. Now here's Cloak. He'll need to kick this about 55 metres. He's right on. Well, the man on the mark is standing right on the 5 of 50. Cloak, very capable of kicking this. At the city end, oh, look at that go. It's nearly gone into orbit. And home for full points. Collingwood 5-5. Essendon 2 goals 6. Cloak has 2.
Yeah, great reply by the Pies. Exactly what you want. You know, I mean, you were challenged. They kick away by 18 points. Then they're challenged again. Zaharakis goals. Then Cloak gets on the end of one. It was great work by Brown. Again, Crameri was on his own. All of a sudden, he grabbed the ball. But no, Brown refused to let go. And he's just fighting for his spot on the side. And that's what you want to see. He's desperate to play. You know, he saw Maxwell kick the ball off the ground and toe poke, but then Cloak on the end of it. But terrific work by Brown. He's really given Crameri a nice workout. And again, when he was out of position, beats him in another contest. The teammates would love that. That's what they come to see, and that's what they want to see from him.
Collingwood by 17 points. Jolly has changed the direction he came from against Ryder. Beams got hold of it, dinked it forward. Melksham got hit hard by Sinclair. Still retains possession. Kick didn't go far, but it falls for Monfries, who feeds it off to Jetta. He'll go long and strong, but there's nothing deep. Maxwell's going to chase it all the way back to the boundary, and it trickles away over said line, 5 metres around from the behind post. Left forward pocket for the Bombers. Jolly double mitts it down to the front. Bell Chambers came up with it momentarily. Tuvey stole it from him. He's held up in a tackle. The secondary stoppage 30 metres out from the Essendon goal.
Television pictures showing Kevin Sheedy in the stands, the GWS coach, who started this when he was coaching the Bombers.
Essendon looking for the answering goal here. Lonergan tries to spin through the pack, pushes himself off. Delolio had a fumble. Taken away from him by Tuvey. Same affliction there. Howlett with the hand pass to Watson. Was battered down by Buckley. Zaharakis got it to Dyson. They mobbed him.
As the numbers.
Collingwood swarming at any Bomber who gets a hold of the pill. And it's held to a standstill, 45 from the Essendon goal.
And Whitey, I'll point out that Brent Stanton still only had 2 touches. Bell Chambers gets a hand of this, but it comes underfoot. There's a big crowd in there. Monfries taken to ground. No prior opportunity. Umpire to bounce just inside the 50.
Whitey, Stanton might have to change his game and start to win some ball.
Well, I think what they've tried to do at times, just even at stoppages, is get Stanton to Swan, but Collingwood won't have anything of it.
Bell Chambers again. It comes to Swan, though. Kick partly smothered, just bounces outside the 50. Pressure being put on by Fasolo. Comes to Stanton. He can't get a touch again as he's run down from behind by Wellingham. Here come the Pies, but a bad bounce for Sinclair there. Scooped off the deck by Ryder. The hand pass to Zaharakis, who's playing his best of the season. Hand pass off to Dyson. Longer full forward. Harry O'Brien gets back as the extra man again. And the crumbs come to the Harold O'Brien. Short pass up to Swan, who's had his millionth touch. 19 possessions.
He fed it off to Tuvey, out beyond half-back for Wellingham. He's got the option in for Solo up on the wing. Clark is herring forward. He really wanted it. For Solo, probably should have put it in that direction. He's gone a bit longer for Dawes. He marks at the back. It just kept getting further and further away from Pears with the outstretched arms to spoil. And Dawes protected it into his mitts.
He made exactly the right decision to go long to the talls. You've got to trust your tall forwards, and Fasolo did exactly the right thing.
Right forward pocket. There is an angle here, but Dawes is close to goal. He would be barely 15 metres from the target. Measured approach. Dawes kicked it all the way across the face and did not even score. That is out of bounds on the full. And I'll say... I still think he made the wrong choice.
It's easy after he kicked it, Jared.
Actually, he's kicked,
he made the decision at the 200. A lot can happen in the last 200.
He's kicked 2 goals 5
It's only
for
20
the season. He's had a poor start, Chris Dawes. Short pass finds Heppel.
He might be too intelligent.
35 plays 18. 22 and a half minutes played second quarter. Kick by Heppel. Well marked by Paddy Ryder at half-back. Ryder, short pass in. Mark's taken by Carlisle. He goes back to Fletcher. Oldest man in the game, still galloping around. Oh, what a beautiful pass. Out wide. It's taken here by Hooker, who kicks towards half forward. And Angus Monfries takes the mark. Kicking after goal from there. Great Southern stand side. Hoisted high, needs a mark. Crameri in the pack, Brown the punch. Down to the front to Swan as though it was a preordained. And it comes to side bottom, out wide to Pendlebury. De Blair back to Pendlebury, cruising the Southern stand wing, up towards half forward. Beautiful football by the Pies, playing the boundary line. Dawes marks, gets the hand pass into Buckley, who kicks towards full forward. Off the deck by Sinclair, but his hand pass is blocked by Heppel, and it's all come undone.
The Bombers will get a chance through Heppel off half-back. He used it judiciously to Hardingham. Squaring ball for Watson. They are on down the field. Watson skids it all the way across the grass to Monfries. But Jolly made the smother. Good play. Monfries will get a second look. He couldn't do anything with it that time either. And Jolly holds it up against Ryder. Serious win for a man who's been out of form, Darren Jolly, at the start of this season. First the smother. Then the trap to get it to a stoppage. And he and Bell Chambers, with the free kick going against Jolly to Bell Chambers, just a little bit of holding on.
Here come the Bombers. Dyson's kick to the 50, but it's all Collingwood, and Pendlebury marks. He went off early, maybe for a bit of treatment. But his comeback hasn't missed a beat. Delivers the half-distance pass to Tuvey, who marks at half-back flank. And a 50-metre penalty. So he'll be run right up over the centre of the ground. Lights on a grey day, but no rain during football time here today. Kick by Tuvey out wide on. He's crept forward and Seedsman takes the mark. That's beautiful play. They were too smart for the Essendon defence. And young Paul Seedsman from the Eastern Rangers will have a shot for goal from out wide near the boundary line, about 47 metres out from goal. City end of the MCG. Socks down, gets mobile. There goes the shot. Close, but no cigar. Missing away to the left-hand side. 1 goal, 1 in his brief league career, which is in its 4th game.
Fletcher on kick-in duty. It's going long, as is his wont. Bell-Chambers with a couple to beat. He did it beautifully. The Magpies overcommitted and allowed him out the back. He puts it out in front of Davey. He's just got to knock it on to Jeddah. Jeddah will sweep at the 50. Give it back to Davey. He'll run it at goal. End on end. It'll turn in. Superb movement of the footy. The fullback to the ruckman to the 2 fastest men in the team. They saw it home, and the Bombers cut the margin to 12. It's hard to imagine they're this close. 26 minutes into the second term, 3-6 to 5-6.
Well, the fact he actually ran it along the ground for the best part of almost 50 metres just added to the theatre of the goal. It was an amazing goal, one end of the ground to the other. And it was almost Harry, actually it was Maxwell who actually left his man. I think it was Alwyn Davey at that time, right across on the Toyota sign on the opposite side wing. He actually left his opponent to try and make contest with the Bell-Chambers mark. Well, Bell-Chambers actually did take the mark, played on quickly, and added to the ability to be able to go from one end of the ground to the other.
Oh, it started to pour raining here at the MCG. The bounce in the middle, and the lead is only 2 goals. It should be more, but if it gets slipperier and score on the board could be handy.
You can't only quell a horse, you can bring rain through.
I know, just this minute said there hadn't been rain during football time.
Oh, no.
Bingo.
You're uncanny.
I know. Anyway, we've got the first leg in. Fave one.
It was 280.
Thrown up by the umpire alongside the bullseye. Watson tries to wrestle his way free. No getting out of there. Finishes up with Blair. Little hand pass. Back into the pack. Monfrey's got a whack round the chops and will take the free just ahead of the circles. Collingwood 5-6 to 3-6. Monfrey's goes long. Can you mark this wet ball? Ryder says, ooh, nearly. Not quite though, it comes underfoot. They grapple for it. Davies out the back of the pack. Throwing himself at it as Marty Clark. Little kick. Wellingham dived at the shins of Watson. He got lower and harder than the Essendon captain, and the ball spills over the boundary line for a throw-in.
There is a small but distinct opportunity for Essendon here in the last 60 seconds of the half. From the throw-in, Bell-Chambers knocked it down to the front of the pack. It slews around. Blair gets some sort of kick out. It didn't go far. Pendlebury gathered it cleanly from the turf. Hand pass to Beams out in front of Wellingham. They're all coming at him though, and he'll be overwhelmed. No, he got hit high. Clumsy stuff from Hooker because they had the Pies where they wanted them. Wellingham instead kicks up to half forward. Dawes wrestles, can't mark, does tow it off the ground and win possession. Puts the don't argue up and gets rid of Heppel. And still he ploughs on Dawes at ground level. He won't get a discernible result for all the effort other than a bounce.
The rain's not all that heavy. Just a bit of a drizzle at the moment. The fans have got nowhere else to go because all the seats around them are taken. Comes to side bottom. He's kicked to half forward. Bounces off Hardingham. A little toe poke forward by Beams. Bombers have it again. Heppel's hand pass inboard. Goes to Dyson. Now to Fletcher at centre half back. Had a bit of time to set himself up. He's kicked the torp. Anyway, he said, get after that. And here comes Crameri. Leads the race with Brown, but the siren beats them. It is half-time at the MCG. It's low scoring, and Collingwood, you reckon, should be further in front than their 2 straight kicks. Collingwood 5-6-36, Essendon 3-6-24. That quarter went 29 minutes and 16 seconds. For Collingwood, their goals have come from Blair, Sidebottom, Swan, and Cloak kicked the double in that second quarter. And for Essendon, their 3 goals to Monfries, Davey and Zaharakis. At half-time in the Anzac Day clash at the MCG, Collingwood 5-6-36, Essendon 3-6-24.
It's all unfolding on Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio. Mark McClure and Chris Grant.
Yeah, terrific quarter of football. Really enjoyed it greatly. Pies started off sensationally. They really worked hard and put more pressure on, applied more pressure to the Bombers, who just keep coughing it up all over the place. And their matchups aren't working well, but you know what? They continue to try, which really amazes me how they keep going. Cloak goals early and puts them 12 points in front. It was a really good setup there and the way they went forward. The Bombers fight, and for 10 minutes there was a bit of an arm wrestle there, 10 or 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden the results in another goal. Another goal to Blair, gets one at the 14-minute mark straight away from the bounce. Zaharakis goals. Zaharakis goal was a ripper straight out of there and puts them back into the game. They continue to fight and wrestle, and they're being absolutely destroyed by all the players on the ground. And then you see Cloak goal again with a contest with Brown and Crameri in the middle of the ground, who just got that ball, and then Nick Maxwell just toe pokes it forward, and all of a sudden Cloak's on the end of it and he kicks a goal from 50 metres out. You think, oh well, that's the end of them, but no. Brown and Jolly and Crameri was terrific tussle. Jolly and Bell Chambers has been fantastic. Bell Chambers, I think, is winning that one. Swan's just outstanding all over the place. Marty Clark on Stanton's killing them. Sidebottom and Harry O'Brien are free. There's a whole host of winners on one side and not too many on the other for the Bombers side, but they continue to come. And then we saw the goal of the day, which was just the Aaron Davey and Jetta goal, where they went back and forth to each other and put it forward. It's been an exciting game. One side should be 5 goals down, but they're not. They're only 2. And that makes a real big difference in this game. They are playing poorly, so they have a chance to get back into the game. Their forward line is non-existent, if you would call it that. Crameri can't touch the ball. Ryder hasn't touched the ball. Jetta's touched a few times, and Davey. Stanton's done nothing. Carlisle's done nothing. Zaharakis a small amount. If they can get some movement there and get some actual fight back into that forward line, and their midfield's getting smashed too. Jobe Watson's not going as well as we'd like. Melcham and Zaharakis aren't as strong as we'd like to see them. I mean, I know that Heath Hocking's on Pendlebury, but who's on Swan? Can we find someone? And who's on Harry O'Brien? Because now he is absolutely full of life and actually playing very well. Got a big task ahead of them, the Bombers, but the Pies should be 5 in front.
Well, through the middle of the ground, I think one of the calls you made, Mark, was the fact they're just not getting their hands on the ball as much as they'd like. They're 30-odd possessions behind in total over the course of the first 2 quarters. You called that the Watson isn't getting his hands on the ball as much, but certainly Marty Clark's job at the moment on Stanton to hold him and restrict him to 2 possessions, that's telling, because they're just not getting the drive through the middle of the ground, and that's not giving Crameri an opportunity up forward. It's not exploiting Brown with his fitness at the moment. He's able to get across, he's able to get a hand in. His job so far on Crameri has just been outstanding. It really has. And look, you talk about players coming into the team and doing a job. Well, he's doing that, but it allows others to play in their rightful position. It allows now Maxwell to play that roll off half-back flanker. It's allowing Harry O'Brien to just be a little bit more confident in getting off his opponent. Now, he's been free often, and they did man him up at times in the second quarter, but certainly the fact that Brown's there is giving the confidence to those other 5 defenders that are in the defensive 50. It's so much more than just doing a job on Crameri. It's just really giving the other defenders confidence. That roll through the middle of the ground that Marty Clark's playing, it's just been outstanding. It's just been a real dogged, just hunt after the man. Stanton just can't get his hands free. There's been occasions where it hasn't just been Marty Clark as well. There's no doubt there's a message for the Collingwood players. Wherever Stanton is, you run after him, because he's the driver. He's the one who will kick the ball forward, and they're just not getting the opportunities forward. I think Essendon have certainly, they're not taking the opportunity as such, but they're only 2 goals down. And for the amount of ball that's actually going against them, they're losing contested possessions, they're getting less inside 50s. But the advantage that James Hird and his coaching staff would have at the moment is the fact that they're 2 goals down. It's wet conditions. Anything can happen in the second half. Can't wait to see it.
It will all unfold on Grandstand AFL throughout the afternoon this Anzac Day. Collingwood 5-6-36 leading Essendon 3-6-24.
And he threatened a couple of times. Second half about to get underway. Just a 12-point lead to Collingwood, which doesn't really indicate the trend of the game. Swan roves in the middle, gets it to Pendlebury. Those two have to be stopped by the Bombers somehow. Up towards half forward. It's going nowhere as the players come from all directions to force a ball up about 60 metres from goal. Collingwood first into attack in the second half. Bell Chambers and Jolly lean into each other. Hand pass comes out the back to Buckley. Kick towards full forward. It bounces through. Chance for Goldsack. He's in the goal square. Does he get a boot to ball? Not the first time. Yes, the second time. And it got over the line, I reckon, although Fletcher was desperately scrambling. He was on the ground. Goldsack had 2 chances and they're going for the video replay. Did it get over the line? Fletcher is like an octopus. How Goldsack missed that attempted soccer off the ground.
No goal. You reckon?
I don't know whether Fletcher got his hand to this or not.
I don't think Goldsack ever got his boot to it.
So it's not touched. It's hit the post, is it?
The padding is thick down the bottom, so it might have just hit the padding of the post. Gee whiz. Good luck, the third umpire.
Yeah, he's got a chance here.
I think it's maybe padding. But Fletcher, how do you beat him? He had arms, legs going everywhere. He was full length, prone on the ground.
Even the third
and I
umpire.
think he has sold it. I think he has saved a goal here. Looked a certainty for Goldsack. It's a behind. He's a miracle man, Dustin Fletcher.
He had more air swings than Besat Barisha, though. Long kick in from Fletcher, cleared the defensive area. It's all about what happens at the back, and Swan gets there first for Collingwood. Hand pass to Keefe, who gives it on to Buckley. Flicks it up over the top for Tuvey, who's met by Stanton, who muscles his way into the game. Zaharakis onto the crumb, worked it forward. It gets past Cramry, though, and it sits there for Nathan Brown. He'll kick out to the southern wing for Collingwood. Goldsack in front. Hands to it, but not enough. Dyson wears him close. Jetta escapes. He flees the scene with the ball. Hand pass to Watson. Gives it back to Jetta at the 50. Over the top to Zaharakis. Right foot snap is a goal. That's the start they needed, the Bombers. The margin is back to 7 points. 4-6 to 5-7.
Well, when questioned, guess what? Reply. Zaharakis does with a goal, but so does Watson with some good work there. Great work. I tell you what, Goldsack's lost his feet over there, and that's not what you do in these conditions. You must hold your feet all the time. Goldsack lost his feet, and all of a sudden the game's over. Ball goes forward, and the Bombers are back in reply. They're within a goal. 7 points exactly to the difference between, because of that point down the other end that was touched by Fletcher. What a game of football this is. And the ball has to be moved now with real haste and length and straight towards goal, because it's raining and pelting.
It's pelting down. Whitey.
Yes, that is correct. It is drenching rain at the moment. It's going to make things very slippery.
Swan bursts out of the middle for the Pies and kicks to half forward. Oh, Dawes with a wet ball. What a mark. 52 out. He pokes a little pass over, but ill-directed, and Heppel flies and takes the mark. Gave it too much elevation. It was over the head of Blair. Heppel out of defence, and here's Stanton, who takes a mark. Can he get into the game in the second half? Squares it back to Heppel. Offensive goal square. And now the kick by Heppel towards the 50. Oh, it's a shocker. And Sinclair chips in and marks for the Collingwood. He's outside the 50 as he takes his kick to full forward. Goldsack, I'm not sure he's a forward. His stats don't indicate he has ever been a forward, and he doesn't get a touch here. He's kicked a couple of behinds. The ball's at half-back flank, close to the boundary line, and over it goes. To me, that's a controversial placement, but, well, Robert Harvey and Nathan Buckley know more about the caper than I do. Whitey?
One structural change we have seen from Essendon is Monfrey's playing that defensive forward role on O'Brien.
Blair took it from the stoppage. They got hold of him, tied him up. So on the members' wing, 37 plays 30, rain falling, lights in full effect. Swan gets hold of it, and Winkle's out a kick into the middle of the ground. Dawes comes up hard at it, clean-handed in the gather and the give off to Tuvey. Hit by the Heppel tackle, kick flopped away at half forward. Wellingham and Howlett dispute it. They're over it and around it. Players pile in, and it'll be bounced front of the centre square. Collingwood attacking.
Just a bit of deja vu about Zaharakis' goal. When the rain came, he loves MCG Anzac Day when it's raining.
See in the last quarter. Davey Had a little fumble around the contest. Beams didn't. Hand pass released. Swan got it out the back to Johnson. Kick up to the 50. Bit wide of the play. Dyson leads the chase and he's happy to see it out over the boundary.
Everybody going for their ponchos. You can't bring an umbrella into the MCG. Here's the throw in at half forward. Whistle. And Jolly gets the free kick for being held in the ruck contest. Bill Chambers pleads his case. Here's Jolly at left half forward for Collingwood. Going to the punt road end. Dawes offers a lead from the goal square. Pendlebury comes off the bench. And here's Man Hocking with him all the way. Here's the kick. Dawes gets a hand and a glove to the ball but can't take the mark. Heppel in front gathers and is Polak straight away and the umpire will bounce it. 37-30. Collingwood's lead just 7 points. 6 minutes into the third term.
He was thrown up nice and quickly. Hacked out of there by Melksham. Heppel has overrun it. He's got to try to get it back. Marty Clark is beavering away under the pack. It's an Essendon free kick. And all of that going the way of Dyson Heppel. Stanton drifted around looking for a disposal. Heppel didn't give it. His last kick out of defence was decidedly poor. This one he's aimed in the direction of Carlisle. Up. Strong body against Maxwell. He takes the mark. Carlisle down the line with the kick. Melksham goes over against Johnson, but it'll spill onto the next contest. Delolio came up, had a little fumble. Johnson's down in a hard tackle. Melksham still against the boundary. Tuvey works him over. It's out of play.
And a bit of push and shove here between Tuvey and Melksham. And they're sent off to the neutral corners. The throw in. Over the head of Jolly. Good hands by Blair at the back. He gathered cleanly. Hand pass to Seedsman. And the kick to the forward line's no good. And over the head of Dawes and the mark taken by Hooker. Hooker pokes a short pass to Watson. He needs to lift his output a little bit. There's a 50-metre penalty. Dawes came from the blind side and got over the mark. And Watson just jogs up to the front edge of the square. Taking his time getting there. I reckon he'd want to get there quickly to get the kick away before the defence sets itself. He kicks long towards the goal square. Punch down to the front. And roved in front. The goal's kicked by Hocking. Front of the pack. And Essendon are within a point. Collingwood 5-7, Essendon 5-6, 8 minutes into the second half.
Oh, can you believe it? A couple of times inside 50 for a couple of goals. And that's the position that Collingwood have almost put themselves in. They just didn't make the most of the opportunities when they had them in that first half. They certainly dominated play. And they left that door ajar at half-time. They left that 12-point gap. Well, it's now down to 1. And don't be surprised at all if a couple of times they go forward here, they'll be on, because they can sense now that they've got them on the scoreboard, can actually get them through the middle of the ground.
They've only been inside 50 twice for the term and they've kicked the 2 goals from those forays. Jolly gets his hand to it first in the middle. Pendlebury feeds Johnson off a back flank. He screws the kick up to half forward. It bounces away from Sinclair. Hard in hand knocks it into an open field of play. Beams got all over the top of somebody. It surely should have been a free kick to Zaharakis. Not paid. Fasolo kicks it up into the pocket. Cloak is on top of it. Got away from him. Didn't get away from Fletcher though. He gets a kick clearing the defensive 50. It will come back, but they'll be more organised when it does. Side bottoms onto it. He'll use it short. Beams 55 or 60 out from goal. No distinct short lead, so he's going to lob it up to the square and see if he can get Cloak to jump for a Swan from the side.
Beautiful.
That was a pack that formed up with Cloak and Dawes in the chop, and Swan glided up to pull it out of the rain. And he's doing it all so far. This will be disposal number 25. He gets half of those in contested scenarios. 7 on the clearances. And now a hang-up, which he dobs as a goal. Swan restores a little bit of breathing space for Collingwood. They're 7 points up. 6-7 to 5-6, 10 minutes into the third.
Well, what can't he do, Dane Swan? He does it all, on the ground, in the air. He's an incredible marker, and you see him against someone else. He never loses his feet. He's a perfect player in these conditions. And today he's just showing what an absolute duck he is. He's got marks all over him and tattoos and bits and pieces, and he looks like an ugly duckling, but he's an absolute beauty. I tell you, he's one of the best going around. Pies are challenged. I loved it. And you know what? What we see is a response. And the coach would be happy with that, and the players would be happy with that. Those 2 forays into the forward line, and 2 goals for Essendon have been matched now by a goal from Dane Swan.
That was an amazing mark in a big pack with a wet ball. The umpire throws it up in the middle rather than bouncing it, and it's won by Jolly for Collingwood. Comes down to Sinclair, hand pass to Beams, hurried kick inside the 50, and Fletcher marks like it's a dry cricket ball. Kicks it across the half-back line, and Hardingham takes the mark for Essendon. Just over the top he goes. He has missed Watson. It comes to Swan of all people. Steers the pass to Cloak, and he's 40 metres out, maybe 43 metres out from goal. And Swan, he'll get 45 if he keeps up this rate.
He can read the play, can't he? He just understands where the ball's going, and the flight of it, everything that's happening.
He's won the medal once before. He's well on the way to adding another one. Cloak lining up for his 3rd goal. 48 metres out, a glorious drop punt. You can't kick him any better than that. What a goal that is. Collingwood 7-7 to 5-6.
Well, he's on song with his kicking today, Cloak. It's not easy conditions at all, and certainly not anything that lends itself to make it easier for Travis Cloak. But the couple of times he's been out 50, geez, he's hit them sweet. He wasn't outside 50 on that occasion, but it was a poor kick by the Essendon player trying to spot up, I think it was Watson, wasn't it? A really poor kick. He just 50-50, kicked it 20 metres, put it over his head. Swan got on the loose ball. Just too easy. And that kills you as a coach if you're a coach of Essendon.
Gee, here's the Collingwood chant. Is that the early crow?
Put it up nice and early. 12 minutes into the 3rd term. They're building Essendon out of the middle, though, at the moment. Ryder flies way too early, gets away with it. Dawes gets hold of the footy. He's dragged down before he can clear it. Poked out of there by Pendlebury, gains 15 metres. Howlett's onto it, half-back. Wellingham got him. Wrapped him up as soon as he took possession. Ball spills from his grasp and into the milling pack. Umpire to toss it up. True centre-half forward for Collingwood. Ryder down to Stanton. Just sort of threw it away, really. Fasolo gets hold of it for the Pies. Johnson out near Swan, took it on the bounce. Tried to release it back, didn't. Watson got hit from behind. No free kick for in the back. Howlett is onto the loose ball. He bounces it up to Cramry. Davies going past. Brownstown's against them. Zaharakis, though, does get it. Hand pass indiscriminate. Pendlebury took the contact from Cramry. Cramry at ground level. They're all running forward to the ball, the Bombers, and Zaharakis is off and out. He gives it to Stanton. Long range shot at goal. It gets away to the left. It won't bounce back. It'll slip and skid out into the behind post to be thrown in.
Zaharakis could probably have taken it a bit further. Well, he can't be going bouncing the ball here today. Very slippery. Ryder knocks it towards the back. Tuvey buried. Little kick towards the goal square. Hand pass. Zaharakis. Was he pushing the back on the top of the goal square? The ball's gone over the goal line. A rush behind to Essendon. Zaharakis pleading his case with the umpire, but nothing doing. Umpire Matt Stevick said, "Play on, son." It's 7-7 to 5-7. We're back to the 12-point margin.
We are letting things go to an absolute extreme, aren't we, this afternoon? Johnson plays on for the kick in, and I think he's booted that out on the full. He has. So in the rain on the far side, Watson rises with it. He'll set it up to full forward. Davies should have waited down at the back of the pack. Monfrey's trying to get clear of O'Brien. He takes it, hand pass to Howlett, fires it out of the pack, and lands the goal. Well, they are nothing if not economical when they go forward. With each venture in this 3rd term, Essendon have plucked a goal. And they're down by just the 6 points. 6-7 to 7-7.
Well, poor kick by Johnson, let that one in. He kicked it out of bounds in the full, and once you do that from full back, you don't need that. There's plenty of space out there. It's 100 yards wide, 150 yards wide. Don't tell me you can't keep it away from the boundary. all of a sudden he's back in under pressure. And Davey had to go for that, Jared. I know he should have stayed down, but you know what? When it's your turn to go, you must go, whatever size you are, and he did that and contested the ball to the ground, and the rest is all over. Howlett jumped in and kicked a ripping goal, like a screw punt on the right foot around for goal. Picked up by Monfries was good work. Good quick kick by Howlett.
Thrown up in the middle. Jolly clean possession. Gets boot to ball with a kick to centre half forward. Tapped on by side bottom in a bit of space. Fasolo is there. Watson gathers it off the ground. Gets the hand pass to Lonergan. The Bombers on a quick break here. And if Jetta can get away from Johnson, he does with a little paddle across to Stanton. Stanton throws it on the left boot. His kicking is an area of his game which lets him down. But today he hasn't got it enough. And a couple of times he has had it, he has sprayed it. And that's bounced out of bounds a good 35 metres around from the behind post. They're in attack here, Essendon, but trailing by a straight kick. Quickly the boundary throw in. Won by Bell Chambers. Going goalwards. Lonergan has it kicked away from him by Swan.
Free kick.
And Lonergan will get a free kick. Was it an in-danger job?
Yep.
Yep. Lonergan had his head coming down over the ball, and Swan kicked it away about chest height for Lonergan, but it's right in front with the free kick, and a straight kick will level the scores.
I don't know if it was that dangerous.
I'm not sure. I reckon Swan pulled it.
Yeah, he just toe poked it.
Lonergan right in front, 25 out, kicks the goal that levels the scores. Seven apiece, approaching the 17-minute mark of the third term.
Well, I think the umpire might have actually thought that Swan was going to go through with a kick and called it, and almost possibly called it too quickly, because Swan was aware that Lonergan was going to dive almost over the football, pulled his kick back. Not sure whether the free kick was there, but you called it, Jared. Economical, inside 50, another inside 50 for a goal for the Essendon team.
4 goals to 2 for the quarter.
49 apiece. The Bombers are doing all of this without centre clearances. Everything's coming from half-back. Rain eases and it's thrown up. Bell Chambers knocks it down. Wellingham onto it, tries to push away. Heppel got the hands free. It was stripped from his grasp though, holding the ball. Stanton comes up with the free kick. Zaharakis broke on the members' wing. Stanton tried to kick a torpedo to half forward. It slips through hands. Buckley gets hold of it. Bangs it back on the southern wing. Spoils are made and Lonergan's at the drop. He'll put the Bombers back inside the 50. Riders played from behind all afternoon. Hands to it. They're on at the back. Monfries shovels it off to Jetta and the Bombers are in front. Leroy Jetta strikes wet weather footy. Hammer it forward at any cost. There's a free kick in the back play.
Oh, the goal.
Scrub the goal.
No goal.
The goal does not count. It's a Cameron Mooney moment. There's a Collingwood free kick which has seen them running down the grounds.
Gee, I've marked it in the book already. I reckon everybody at the ground reckon, oh, that's a goal. And at the other end of the ground, Cloak takes a mark. 55 metres from goal. He has kicked brilliantly today. He unloads at the punt road end. Goal square job. Thumped away towards the boundary line. Stanton gets after it, but he's beaten with a low dive by Sinclair. Near the boundary line forward pocket. Cleared out of defence by Lonergan, who's had a terrific 5 minutes. Ball comes up here. Hocking. And Hocking under pressure kicks the ball out of bounds to centre wing. And now the Essendon fans have a chance to say, well, what happened? What happened to the goal we kicked?
Not just them, Drew.
Yeah, commentators and
Everyone else.
Yeah, incredible. So the scores are level at 7-7 apiece.
Throw in on the southern wing. Pulled out of there by Swan. High ball up to the 50 for the Pies. Wellingham arrived just in the nick of time to steal it away from Hooker. The mark wasn't paid, so he plays on quickly into the pocket. Dawes, it bounces off his chest. And over the boundary, Adam White.
I think you'll find the free kick was paid against Patrick Ryder in the marking contest for too high before it actually reached ground level.
30 metres out from the Collingwood goal. Swan running through the pack. He is unstoppable. He kicks his third. And he is dragging the Magpies along. 8-7 to 7-7 approaching time on of the third.
Can you understand why they haven't put anyone on him yet? Someone who's going to run at him or do something, but who can stay with him? He's a genius. These conditions suit him down to the ground, and when required again, front of the pack, Jolly just drops it straight down. Actually, Belchambers got his hand on the ball. He read it better than everyone else. Into space. Why wasn't that area covered? Which is the most dangerous area of a pack, and they should have had someone in that spot forward of the pack to stop that. But no, Dane Swan straight through, waltzed in, picked it up and kicked the goal. I don't even think his shorts are dirty. He hasn't fallen over. He doesn't do anything wrong. He's just a great player, Dane Swan. He's fair and brilliant.
Not even the ink is smudged. From the throw up in the middle comes to Watson. Socket off the ground by Howlett. Howlett gets it back and kicks long towards full forward. Punched away by Brown for the Pies. Gets it outside the 50. Watson gathers the slippery wet ball, but his hand pass chopped off by Pendlebury. His hand pass away to Tuvey. Up the ground to Swan again. He has had 30 possessions, Dane Swan, at the 20-minute mark.
50 metres here, guys. 50 metres.
50 metres, and it'll bring... Swan's got the ball, but it's not his. It'll come back to...
Should be for Solo.
I would have thought for Solo.
Yep.
Swan gives it across. There's for Solo.
No,
he didn't take all of the 50. Well, that's his fault, umpire, isn't it? The mark's been taken by Collingwood right in front of goal, but you know what? It's got to come back to Fasolo because he only took about 35 of his 50 metres. Well, that's his fault.
No, they stopped the play, Drew, so it's time on.
All right, here goes Fasolo. He unloads a big bomb. Gee, he got some distance and hit the behind post on the full. So a minute ago they had a mark right in front, and now it's a free kick to Essendon. Whitey.
Dane Swan's come for a break after another big third quarter. Brent Stanton is trying to go with him. He simply cannot keep up.
The Bombers restart play with a long kick. Belchambers has to go the spoil on Jolly. Fell to the side of the pack. Lonergan burrowed his way through, released it to Howlett. Oh, Heppel got knocked off it by Fasolo, who's about to make amends. He set sail for home. He's nearly hit the same behind post on the full. This one sneaks in for a behind. The Magpies lead by 7.
Fletcher kicks in. Dyson takes the mark behind centre half back. Well, for a moment there, Essendon had hit the front. But then the goal was taken off them, and they haven't hit the front at all. And now Collingwood lead. The kick over centre wing. Gathered by Delolio. He gets the hand pass to Davey, whose kick is too high for Monfries. Brown gets back there in defence for the Pies. And coming off a knee, Rico, and a busted kneecap, and he kicks out of defence. Here's one of the stories of the day. Kicks towards the boundary line and it's seen over, and we have a throw in. 8-8-56 to Essendon, 7-7-49, 23 minutes played, third quarter.
At the throw in, the ruckman form up. Jolly knocks it down to the front. It came the way of Lonergan, though. He dinks it into the pocket. Carlisle leant into Keefe and was able to take the mark at the back of the pack.
Is that their first mark inside 50 from one of their tools? I reckon it's pretty close. At the 23-minute mark of the third quarter. Amazing.
So it's a tough shot given the positioning in the left forward pocket. But Jake Carlisle is close in and the Bombers need it. They're down by 7 off a couple of steps. He misses near side. And there's an even goal between them. 8-8 to 7-8 Collingwood's way. 24 played, third term.
Short pass in finds Johnson, who started the game in cracking pace. That's an ugly old kick that skims on the wet turf all the way to the circles. It's palmed back by Jolly into the path of Blair. Jolly's kick is then smothered inside the centre circle. The ball spills to Howlett, and here come the Bombers on the rebound. Short pass, Jetta marks on the logo centre wing. Kick by Jetta, a very high ball. Tough to mark, a wet one. Off hands. Now it's a Rovers job. Delolio goes off the ground. And it slews and spins and hits the far behind post. And we get a boundary throw in. Corey Delolio playing his second game. Started as a sub but was on in the first quarter when Hibbard did his hamstring. At the throw in, clean possession by Jolly. The hand pass away, grabbed by Stanton, who has a ping for goal. And I tell you what, he couldn't hit a barn. And it's out of bounds on the full.
Much improved though, Drew. He's had 4 or 5 possessions
he's
this quarter.
Getting the pill at least.
Pendlebury on the restart for the Pies. Long ball outside the defensive 50. Cloak on the long lead. Hooker made the late spoil. Carlisle had a fresh Airy. And he's trapped with the ball somewhere underneath him. It spills out the back. Melksham took some head-high contact. That one was seen. Melksham up to take the free kick quickly. He wants to lob it back to the goal square. Dell'Olio up, didn't quite bring it down. Tuvey gets caught by Dell'Olio high. And free kick for the Pies in the last line of defence.
Tuvey with the free. Gee, you'd want to make this good from this position. So he goes close to the boundary line, and it slips through the hands of Melksham. He should have actually taken that mark, but I suppose you can excuse players with this slippery leather ball in these conditions. Out of bounds, throw in. Half forward for the Bombers. Ryder wins the hit out and goes straight to his opponent. Jolly, the hand pass away to Beams. Off to side bottom. Short pass, short of the wing, and here's Cloak way up the ground to take the mark. Over the top he goes. Beams had followed up, gets it back. Kick by Beams towards the 50. And for Solo up very high. In fact, over the top of his teammate Dawes, and the ball off his hands and out of bounds inside the forward 50. Collingwood 8-8, lead Essendon 7-8. 26 minutes played, third quarter.
Hoyt back into play. Jolly guides it down near Pendlebury, stripped of the footy, and Watson emerges with it. His kick was no good around the southern wing. Carlisle with a task against Keefe. Carlisle did well to at least hold it up for a moment. Tuvey's going to get it up to half forward though again for the Pies. Knocked down by Clark. He'll give it backwards. Tuvey stayed in the contest. Jolly runs to full forward. And he takes a mark with the flight of the ball.
Great vision by Tuvey.
Darren Jolly with the footy tucked under the arm. The mark is 15 metres from the goal front. He's looked more like it this afternoon, Darren Jolly. After a less than impressive start to the season, and from 20 out, he guides it home. And the Magpies restore the lead they had at half-time for all the adventure so far in the term. Collingwood 9-8-62 lead Essendon 7-8-50.
Terrific mark by Jolly, but set up perfectly by Marty Clark. Kid come back from Ireland. Terrific attack on the ball, holds his feet very well, but done a great job on Stanton, and then just gives away the handball straight away so that the ball can go back into Jolly. Terrific work by Clark. He's a young star, really. He's had a taste. He's gone back home, coming back. I think he's a much better player this time.
Dawes has gone onto the ball with Jolly at full forward, and gee, you can rest a ruckman down there, and their height can prove decisive. Up she goes. Spills Collingwood's way. Hocking in there. Works it to Dyson. Left foot kick inside the 50. O'Brien drops a chest mark. It's up for grabs. Monfries, little hand pass out. Dell'Olio has a fumble. Gathered by Johnson at Collingwood. Kick back towards the centre. And hugging the chest mark is Hardingham for the Bombers. Kicks it out wide towards the members' wing. And spreading wide is Zaharakis. 62-50, a 2-goal lead to Collingwood. Zaharakis runs around Clark and kicks long down towards the pocket. Terrific punch by Nick Maxwell. Gets the ball out of play, just as I'm sure Carlisle thought he was going to be taking a mark.
They form up in the Essendon forward line. And they'd dearly love to grab on the way to the final change. Pendlebury means to repel though. Hand pass to Johnson. Kick out to half back. Jolly's worked over on this occasion by Pears, but then runs into the tackle of Sinclair. Release the hand pass to Zaharakis in the nick of time, and he flops it back to the 50. Ryder's played from behind all day. He has to go the spoil. Release to Stanton. Kick up to full forward to high ball. Monfries and O'Brien go to ground together. Umpire holds his fire on any whistle. Away comes side bottom. He puts it out in front of Keefe. He's got some room in which to move if he can gather. He does now. Pokes it down the line. Goldsack's in front of Fletcher. He's been paid the mark. Goldsack up to have a look what's on offer. Dashing pass was side bottom. He pops it up to Wellingham. Wellingham's got Dawes and Cloak both loose. Could you believe it? Dawes up to the back, just trying to get it to the back for Cloak. The kick never arrived. and the defence swarms.
It was a poor kick, Jared. He had to get that over the back then. Played into the Essendon defender's hands.
Heppel out of defence. And the mark to Hooker. And he comes to Monfries. A bit static here now, the Bombers. Monfries with plenty of distance, though. Bill Chambers has gone forward for Essendon. One hand, not enough, no mark. Ball close to the boundary line, taken by Maxwell for Collingwood. He bounces the ball up short of centre wing. Wellingham gathers, gets it to Johnson, and Johnson puts his teammate out in the open. A beautiful play. Beams gathers, steers a pass to Swan, who either took the mark or takes the free kick.
He doesn't drop anything.
Swan coming up for his 32nd disposal. 30 minutes into the third quarter. Short pass. Oh, Goldsack again drops an absolute pudding. It's taken by Dyson. Dyson short pass. Heppel just short of centre wing. They haven't got that much breathing space, Collingwood. They can't be dropping those out in the open. They lead by 12 points. Kick by Heppel. Spins it up towards centre half forward. Monfries backs into the pack. Ball is tapped out. Comes to Wellingham of Collingwood.
He gets his kick away quickly for Sidebottom, and it's skidded past him. It gives Dyson a fresh look for the Bombers. He'll kick to Cramry. Still can't hang on to a mark with Tuvey bearing down. Sidebottom pulls it out. Hand pass near Tuvey. Dyson getting in the way to run interference. Heppel might be able to settle it, although he hand passes straight back into the congestion, and he's got to go against Swan, who has another fling off the ground with a boot. Paddled down the line by Wellingham and over the boundary. Spirited skirmish between half a dozen players out on the southern wing. And right on halfway is where this ball will come back into play. Collingwood by 12, dying moments of the third term. Ryder gets it out of the ruck. Hand pass to Zaharakis. Puts it out in front now. He'll send it up inside the 50 with the long kick. Maxwell had the play, but he didn't take the mark. Delolio was drifting at the back. O'Brien gets caught by Monfries. He worked the hand pass to Maxwell, who just kicks it away to the defensive 50 where Sinclair is onto it.
It was a good decision by Maxwell. Sinclair had a bit of space and delivers the pass up to Goldsack. He's on all fours. He gathers, gets the hand pass away to Dawes. He comes out wide, Dawes. Off to Blair. Blair can't handle, gets it going forward. Seedsman taken to ground just outside the 50. Buckley too slow. So whistle, Seedsman ping holding the ball, and the free kick goes to Ryder on defensive 50 for the Bombers.
Ryder grabbed his arm, he just couldn't get a hand to it and held him back. It's a good tackle.
32 and a half minutes played. Ryder wobbles the ball up towards centre wing. No mark. All Essendon at the front. Ball comes down towards Hocking. The hand pass inboard. Watson sweeps one in. There's a bit of space here now. Oh, Jetta on the run, and he's kicked it a mile, but the siren beat him. And that is three-quarter time. Anzac Day at the MCG. Collingwood lead by 2 goals. At one stage, Essendon hit the front, but a goal was denied and the goal was taken off them. But at three-quarter time, Collingwood 9-8-62 lead Essendon 7 goals, 8-50. For the Pies, Cloak has kicked 3, Swan has kicked 3, and the rest in singles to Jolly and Sidebottom. And there must be one more, Blair. And for Essendon, 7 goals for them. Zaharakis has kicked 2. Monfries, Jetta, Lonergan, Davey and Hocking, as well as Howlett, have kicked the goals. Three-quarter time, the Pies 9-8-62, the Bombers 7-8-50. To maybe a high-scoring, tight last quarter. Umpire holds the ball aloft and we get underway for the last quarter. Shortly he'll get down to Adam White. Might have a chance. He hasn't thrown it down yet. Whitey?
Yeah, Drew, Ugle still has the green vest on, so Collingwood should be fresher with that injury early in the game to Hibberd with a hamstring. But Collingwood haven't won a last quarter during the course of this year. A thought that Essendon is well and truly aware of.
So into the final term we go. Collingwood with the first takeaway. Who else but Dane Swan? Long to full forward. It'll flop in short of Cloak, and Hardingham had to be good underneath. He was. He takes the clean grab. Not a lot on the way out. He's delivered down the wing. Stanton flew up over the top of Swan, didn't bring it down. Cramry wrapped up by Brown. Just about got the footy away from him. It emerged for a brief moment out the back. Zaharakis was awake to that hand pass to Stanton. Bang, hit hard by Wellingham and dispossessed. Pendlebury with the takeaway on the wing. He used beams, got it onto Seedsman, had a bounce on the slippery turf, sends it up to full forward. He's looking for Goldsack at the back, knocked away from him. Hardingham and Sinclair scrap. Dawes gets in there, the ball slides out into the base of the behind post to be thrown in.
Swan just going on his merry way. Here's the throw in, right in front of goal. Taken by Fasolo, he loses it. Dyson tries to kick out of the pack. A hurried ball by Beams, and he snaps a goal from about 13 metres out. First goal of the last quarter to Collingwood. They go to 10-8 to 7-8.
It wasn't fancy. They got it out of the middle of the ground. That was Swan, of course. Who else would do that? Puts it forward, and they left it in there. They would not get out until they actually kicked the score, and they wrestled and fought, and all of a sudden you can see that, you know, the Essendon heads go down straight away. They kicked the first goal of the quarter, and that was set up because they just kept it in their forward line and fought like hell until something came their way, and that was Beams.
10-8 to 7-8.
It's almost time they took Sinclair off, I think, and put Ugle on. I think it's time for that. They need a change. They need something quick, and the fresh legs would help.
Mark McClure on grandstand AFL. Pause in the middle before it's thrown up. Bell Chambers clearly got his hand to it. Stanton runs into the tackle of Wellingham for the second time in the term. There's no escape. It'll be tossed up for a second time.
You talk about players being the hunted. Well, Stanton today's no doubt been Collingwood's hunted player. He's got no free ball at all today.
Wellingham gets through the pack, releases it to Swan. Ball took a ricochet on the way through, fell to Dyson. He kicks up to half forward. Crameri hasn't been near it. It falls to the back for Davey, who kicks it off the ground. Ryder trying to get into it. Doubles back on the left. He bounces it at goal. It'll turn before it gets there and go the wrong side of the post. Collingwood by 17.
Maxwell in a hurry. To Dane Swan, who's covered every blade of grass on the MCG today. He takes the mark and delivers a short pass to Clark. Boundary line, defensive 50. Kicks it long now, up towards centre wing. Jolly in front, can't take the mark, but roved in front by Sinclair. A high ball. Fletcher's back there to take the mark. Honestly, it's cruel what he's done to his opponent here today. Goldsack. Ball up to Lonergan, who penetrates the 50. Pack gathers no mark. Jetta keeps it going goalwards for Essendon. Can he pick it up this time? He gathers and has taken over the boundary line. Gets the hand pass away, but it doesn't really get back into the field of play, and we get a throw in, forward pocket. 10-8 to 7 goals 9. Collingwood, 3.5 played in the last quarter.
Collingwood came up with a goal from this sort of muddle at the other end. Can Essendon match the feet? Not while Swan is there. His hand pass, though, went up into the air and came down in the midst of Lonergan, who pulls it out, takes a swinging shot at goal. That's close. Buckley gets his hands to it on the last line. And it's Collingwood by 16.
Don't know who's voting for the medal today, but could any judge come up with any other winner than number 36?
I wouldn't imagine so.
Gee, absolutely killed it. Kick in, punch towards the boundary line by Carlisle, and they keep it on the forward line. Zaharakis goes to the bench. Melksham comes on. One of the many rotations. At the boundary throw in. Comes to Lonergan, whose kick is smothered. He's in after it again. But fighting with him is Sinclair. Well played, son. Sinclair was making sure that ball is going absolutely nowhere. 20-year-old in just his 9th AFL game. 68 plays 52, Collingwood.
Tossed up, Jolly feeds it down to Pendlebury. Met and smothered by Watson. Davey stood in a tackle, but he hand passed it straight to Dane Swan, who gets another. He's over-kicked Wellingham, but it lands in the field of play and bounces over. When your luck's in.
Well, his skin folds are good. He told us that last week.
He did. At halfway the throw. Blair takes it out of the pack. Hand pass to Tuvey. Had to step through a couple and did it well. Kicks in the cloak direction. Will bounce just in front of him. Couldn't trap it. Dyson gets through for the Bombers. He'll open play up round the wing. Jetta had to get a skidding ball and get away from Tuvey. He did half the job, but not all of it. Clark, Jetta got hold of him. Stanton bunts it forward. Davey threatens. Buckley gets it over the boundary. Good honest contest from all involved.
They're still going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Here's the throw in. Jolly and Bell Chambers. Ruck interference before the ball got there. Jolly threw his head back, knew it was against him. Bell Chambers from centre wing. He's got some support from behind to Dyson. His left footer, a low zooming ball inside the 50. Hits the wet turf and skims. Ryder gathers the bouncing ball. Hand pass back. Comes to Hocking. Centering ball is good, and an excellent mark's been taken by Delolio right in front. And Corey Delolio has a chance to give the Bombers a bit of a sniff here with a shot from 30 metres right in front of the punt road end. Kicked over 50 goals in the waffle last year for South Fremantle. Here he goes. Socks down. The drop punt is home. Not with that much authority, I wouldn't have thought. But it takes Essendon to 8-10, trailing Collingwood 10-8.
Well, can you believe it's 10 points difference? It's hovered around about a couple of goals for most of the afternoon, but I just can't believe that it's 10 points at the moment. Just Collingwood are just dominating all the major aspects of the game, but on that occasion, why did the goal happen? Well, Paddy Ryder didn't give up on the contest. Most players would have just been happy for it to go out of bounds. He kept it in play, got it to Hocking, and Hocking didn't blaze away for goal, didn't kick it into the goal square. He spotted someone up right in the heart of inside 50, and a really good mark by the young kid.
Adam White.
Jared Ugle has been activated, so he's on the ground for the first time in an AFL match, and it is Seedsman that's been given the red vest.
Collingwood by 10, thrown up in the middle. Bell Chambers a clear tap down to Hocking. Good entry into the 50 for the Bombers. Cramry couldn't hold on to the mark. O'Brien and Monfries. Maxwell gets through. He'll get it onto the boot and roost it as far as he can. Fletcher against Goldstack. Fletcher brings it to ground. Goldsack, though, is onto the loose footy. He turns onto the left boot. Keeps his kick low to half forward. Dawes edged off it by Pears. He has a double back. He's got to get through. Stood in a tackle. Hand pass to Fletcher. Taken down by Goldsack. The Magpies win the ball back. Beams hoists it inside the 50. Hooker, he grappled with Cloak. The ball reached the back. Spilt away from Hardingham and out of bounds.
That's where they want it. They want it in their forward line. They want to try and keep it inside 50 now. You watch them all hustle up, keep pushing it back in.
At the boundary throw in, it clears the pack. They charge in from all directions. Little Blair, hand pass to Goldsack. Standing start, it's high. Has it long enough? Not quite. Doesn't make it. It pitches on its end and bounces back into the field of play. It's still there for Jolly. They fight hard near the behind post. And Ugle just on the ground gets his first touch, but he doesn't get a possession because they wrap him up and will get a ball up. It's, well, just near the behind post. Seedsman subbed out after a quiet day, just 4 touches, but he did lay 7 tackles. Here's a chance for the Pies, but it's ripped away by Lonergan for Essendon. The kick outside 50. Maxwell gathers, spins through a tackle. Away to Tuvey. Maxwell receives from side bottom. The kick inside the 50. Wellingham somehow. He gets it to Ugle off the left boot. This time he does get a disposal, but hasn't made the distance from 30. Goldsack a hand pass. Blair fumbled it. He looked as though he's about to put the ball from hand to boot, and it was taken away from him by Stanton.
He kicked it out to Cramry. He'll give a bit of ground to Milksham, trying to get around Johnson. Johnson got the touch on the kick, and it slews to the wing. Pendlebury had to release it in a hurry. Hand pass to Blair. Works it inboard to Tuvey. Tuvey gets it into the forward line. It lands low down. It's hard to handle. Spills out of the first pack to Beams. His hand pass missed Johnson. He runs into Blair. Still gets hold of it. Screws it up to full forward. Jolly can't hang on. Hooker's pitted against him. It's all about what happens at the side of the pack. It's in dispute. Carlisle, Beams, Jolly stands with the footy. They all get hold of him. He's held to a standstill. It's 25 out from the Collingwood goal. They lead by 10.
Looks like going right to the wire. Thrown up by the umpire. Knocked goalwards. Cloak stood up in the tackle. Umpire will throw it up again. Up she goes. Jolly gets rid of Bell Chambers. Comes to Goldsack. Fletcher with him all the way, as he has been all day. Takes him to ground. Be thrown up again. Now, might have to sort this out in a moment. Doesn't waste any time. Bell Chambers wins this one. Comes to Hardingham. Cross towards the boundary line, and Kept alive by Johnson. Pendlebury pulled off it when he didn't have the ball. No whistle. Comes to Ben Johnson. Hand pass back into a pack. Forward pocket. Hurried kick by Melksham. Out of defence for Essendon. That'll do. He gains about 20 metres outside the 50 and we get a boundary throw in. Collingwood 10-8, 68. Essendon 8-10, 58. 11 played last quarter.
Bombers have to hold up to this phase of play. Zaharakis got it at the bottom of the pack and he's going to relieve the pressure with a long kick. Carlisle and Maxwell. Brown's the third man in. It comes under them. Tuvey gathered it one-handed off the turf and it's going straight back to the Magpies forward line. Dawes spreads it onto side bottom. Kicked it off the side of the boot. It'll drift away at the 50. Cloak gets there on the second bounce. Trying to turn Hooker inside out. Bounces it up into the pocket. Still in dispute. Wellingham was very clean. Worked the hand pass away. Flying shot at goal from Fasolo. Not to be. He's missed near side.
Should have given that for Solo.
Oh, it was horrible, Mark, wasn't
Wellingham was there just waiting for it to come to him and he put his hands out and Fasolo just had a ping. Wrong.
Heppel marks the kick in. Hand pass to Melksham, who dropped it red hot. Fasolo is there to gather. Off to Swan. His hand pass is good. Sinclair gathers, shoots from 25 and misses to the left-hand side. Ben Sinclair, first score for the day. Goal would have been handy. They lead 10-10, 70 to 8-10, 58.
Bombers having a devil of a time getting it out of defence. Dyson goes long and strong. He needs Ryder, who takes the mark. Stanton breaks down the field. So too Carlisle. Ryder ignored them both and now he's called to play on. He'll have to dink it short. Down the line goes Hooker after his mark. Carlisle's got company now. And Maxwell made the spoil and punched it out of play. Adam White.
Jared, lots of rotations in the last quarter. It's very hard to tell who's going to be the more tired out of the two clubs. Both really struggling getting to the bench.
Southern wing. Ryder knocked it straight down to Wellingham. So the Pies get to pour some more pressure on up near half forward. Hardingham jumped into the pack and dropped it. Pears at the drop, stripped of it by Fasolo, gathers, stands in a tackle, sells them the dummy, gives it to Ugle. Ugle's going to put it to full forward. Swan, not quite. Fletcher, an unerring stretch, gets the fist to it, punches it through. It's Collingwood by 13.
Pies have kicked 1-3 in the last quarter. Essendon 1-2. Fletcher, Marvis, keep playing to his 58. Kick straight up the centre of the ground, looking for Watson. Collingwood just get a fingernail to the ball. It comes to side bottom. Hand pass to Beams, kick out wide. Goldsack is there, can't take the mark, but regathers the ball on the turn, kicks a high ball to full forward. Swan is there and Cloak. Cloak up, it goes goalwards, but goes over the behind line for another behind for Collingwood.
This has been about 6 or 7 minutes, Drew, where they just refuse to let them out of their 50. It's come just over the middle of the ground, but not much further once.
They'd be at breaking point, you suspect. The kick in is marked by Howlett, who's careful to half back. Watson has taken the mark. Hocking is making the running in the midfield. Zaharakis gets forward of him. Hocking's going longer. Davies going to have to try to edge Tuvey, and he does.
You spoke too soon, Drew. Spoke too soon.
He's at full forward. Used the body perfectly against Tuvey, and it was a well-weighted ball from Hocking. It's absolute must-kick stuff. Elwyn Davies, slight angle. 30 metres from goal. Guides it home. And still they creep. Down by 8 points halfway through the final term. 9-10-64 Essendon. Collingwood 10-12-72.
Well, and they come again and still on. You know, when you think that they're gone, they just produce something else. And what they just did then was move down the middle of the ground. They didn't go out wide. They didn't try and do anything else. They just kicked it down the middle and just kept fighting away. All of a sudden, Elwyn Davies on the end of a good mark. Get into an open forward line with people with pace and good skills, you're in trouble. They just haven't got it in there enough. Just been locked in their defence too long, but there's still a chance.
Big job by Angus Monfries too. He's gone into the middle on this occasion, give Watson a rest, but he's been tagging from a half forward flank on O'Brien, kept in the one possession in the second half.
Monfries robes in the middle. Pendlebury wraps him up in a good tackle. And no prior opportunity. The umpire will bounce again. We'll throw it up. Geez, thrown up in a hurry. Won by Ryder. And this is an Essendon free kick. Jolly put a saddle on Howlett. Hand pass away. Stanton, long kick to full forward. Bell Chambers, the hand pass out. And a kick for goal by Carlisle is offline and through for a minor score away to the right-hand side. Big Jake, 2 behinds today. Adam White.
Crucial players have been on the bench. Cloak is about to come on for Collingwood, but it's Fletcher on the bench for Essendon and Crameri trying to get one final rest.
Johnson in long to Maxwell, who couldn't hang on to the mark, but he did get the footy. Uses Ugle off to Buckley, bounced it halfway. Cloak rides shotgun from the bench. Hand pass went to Fasolo, and Cloak still goes. Longer with the kick. Dawes plants himself. Dyson got a hand in there to push it away and get it out of play. Crowd goes up at 86,932. Collingwood leading by 7 points, and they have it 40 out from their goal at the throw-in. Ryder knocks it to open space. Not a bad play. Hardingham goes off the ground, gains some territory. Brown out-muscled Bell Chambers. No, he pushed him. Bell Chambers with the free kick on the members' wing. He wants to give it to Heppel running past on the left boot. He's kicked it to Davey, who's going to be outnumbered. It will never arrive. And Pendlebury guides into mark.
Pendlebury giving the signal, slow it down.
It's too early to close up shop, I can assure you.
Now kicks it straight to Bell Chambers, who had an easy task to outmark Ugle.
Rotten kick, Drew. That was a rotten kick to Bell Chambers then.
Tom Bell Chambers with a kick back inside the 50. Kick to kick, straight back to Pendlebury. Across the ground he goes to Maxwell. So Collingwood will come down the Great Southern stand side. Maxwell puts the kick out in front of Blair. And it's too wide, and that's untidy. And the ball out of play might have been a pretty good result eventually, because if Blair had lost that contest, Melksham would have been away. 72-65. 7-point lead to the Pies. Nearly 18 played last quarter.
Ryder and Dawes get there to contest the ruck. Side bottom off the ground. Kicked it out on the full. So the Bombers get it back. Defensive side of the middle. And everything not as it should be according to the umpire. Dyson is not on his correct angle outside the boundary.
There's an opportunity here for Stuart Camry. No doubt at all. He's been out of it all day.
Well, Dyson got himself into a real bind there, and Sinclair threw himself at the boot, made a smother. Dyson's got to make amends. He kicks it out on the full. Error begets error, and Collingwood get the ball back. He had the switch on through Fletcher, and he didn't use it. Swan chips it to Pendlebury. He's already made his intentions clear, just to steady things down. His pass is better on this occasion. Side bottom on the lead for him. Just forward of the middle. He's been called to play on, and he's going to give 55 metres as he goes backward to O'Brien.
Harry's got it at halfback. Kicks across the halfback line to Johnson. He's got Keith further across, and Keith marks, so they've gone from left halfback to right halfback. Now Keith down the line, and Brown takes the mark. Nathan Brown, last time he played here was the grand final replay, 2010. Knee problems since then. Back to Keith, and they look as though they put the cue back in the rack. Surely it's too early. Across the ground, side bottom marks, gets the hand pass to Clark. Now he goes long to full forward, beams a chance, and Cloak, it bounces off the chest of Cloak. Row by Swan, unbelievable. Little dribbly kick towards goal, didn't make it, and Essendon are able to get it out of defence, but he does hit contest at 1,000 miles an hour, Dane Swan. Now the kick by Monfries is out of bounds at half-back flank, and Collingwood keep it on the forward line. They're 10-12-72 to 9-11-65. 20 minutes last quarter.
Because of a great chase by Goldsack.
At the throw-in, Bell Chambers knocked it down. Pendlebury, though, hand pass to Dawes. Kick didn't go very far. Wellingham will turn at the 50. He's given this a good ride to full forward. Cloak dropped it on the behind line. It's a minor score. Collingwood by 8.
Fletcher kicks to himself and clears the 50 with a long kick. Pendlebury with a leap in the middle of the pack, no mark. It comes to the front. Bell Chambers a little hand pass. Up to Zaharakis, who has a fumble. He's closed down by Pendlebury and forces a stoppage out near the wing. Swan 39 possessions. Pendlebury 31. Beams has had 32. The leader for Essendon is Dyson with 24. Wellingham, kick across the ground, not much distance, and it's marked by Watson. The kick by Watson to half forward. Chance here for the Bombers. Zaharakis in a bit of space. He penetrates the 50 down to Crameri, who's been stone cold, but instead is taken by Stanton out in the pocket.
The miracle goal, eh? That always works.
Well, I don't know what he did there. He kicked it 20 metres up in the air and about 10 metres along, made it easy to knock it over the boundary line.
Tried to win the game. That's what he tried to do.
Absolutely.
Bombers deep forward, a goal here, and we have just the grandstand finish to Anzac Day. Lonergan got through the pack and he missed. There was nothing between him and the goal. He should not have missed. He did. And they trail by 7 instead of 2. Harry O'Brien plays onto himself. He wants to clear the long ball. He doesn't. Zaharakis gets there to intercept.
Well, they look a bit rattled, the Pies.
Yeah, they're ragged.
They are. They look a bit rattled.
Zaharakis looks for the pass inside the 50. Crameri can't get hold of it. Delolio couldn't at the back either. And it gets away from him out of play.
Just making fundamental mistakes, and they shouldn't be doing that. It's not a side that's going to play in the grand final if it looks like that.
Essendon need a James Hird. The throw in. Bell Chambers wins. Comes down to the front. Delolio has it ripped away from him by Buckley. His kick goes nowhere. Comes to Hocking. Little hand pass. Delolio off the left. Oh, he hasn't made the distance from about 20. And it's rushed through for a minor score. Whew. He's kicked 2 behinds, Corey Delolio. Yeah. If Essendon had Hird in number 5 instead of Stanton, this could have been going the other way.
Well, the draw is right in play here. It's a goal to difference with 5 minutes to play. Johnson came long out of the defensive area. Essendon got numbers to it, but they haven't got the pill just yet. Sidebottom's trying to hold it up. Paddled to Pendlebury, hand pass to Blair, mown down in a strong tackle by Melksham. Jetta releasing hand pass to Hocking to Dyson. They're not quite through yet. Hand passed in there to Howlett. Shoveled it forward to the play. Lonergan gives it off. Hocking with the shot. Davies, the lone man back. It's going to land and he marks in the goal square. Scores are about to be level. They muscled it out of the contest and Elwyn Davey ties things up. It's his third. It's 10-13, 73 each of 2. And there's 4 minutes and 1 second to play.
Well, not at any stage did they look like they were going to win this game, but they do now. Not at any stage did they think that they could win this game. They probably do now. This is an incredible game of footy. The Pies have actually dominated most of it, 70% of the game, but are not in front at this stage. They must be kicking themselves. They went defensive there when they should never have gone defensive 5 or 6 minutes ago. You've got to put one more on the board. That's what happens here. This is one of the good chokes of all time, this one. This is a beauty coming up here. They were well in front, had the game in control, and gave it away.
Thrown up in the middle. Jolly wins. Swan roves hurriedly on the left boot. Sinclair gathers on the 50 and turns Fletcher inside out. Sinclair for goal. Oh, he's missed to the left-hand side. He had a fantastic opportunity there, young Ben Sinclair. But Collingwood lead by a point. Are we going to get the same result as we had in 95 that started this tradition? Of course, it was a famous draw.
Hardingham kicks it in to Heppel. Heppel will guide it out to Hocking. They reach half back. Down the field he goes to Stanton. Each precisely executed. Stanton will get it onto the right boot. Right as his man. He's got a couple to beat. Tuvey across the front. Didn't hang on. Jolly and Monfries contested the ground. Ryder stands against Tuvey. They push and they pull and they tackle and it goes all underneath. To be bounced forward to the wing for the Bombers.
Gee, they've got 10 days off after this. They're going to need it. Oh. Jobe Watson can barely pluck himself off the deck to give the ball back to the umpire, who throws it up. But Watson wins the hit out. That's where you find something extra. Zaharakis bursts onto it, but is dispossessed. Finishes up going without it. It is socket over the boundary line for a throw in down towards half forward. Collingwood lead by a point, 74-73, 25 and a half minutes played. at the throw-in. Jolly in front. Gets it to Wellingham. Can't get boot to ball, but Swan can. Hurried kick, gains 30 metres. It doesn't go out, though. Dawes at centre wing. Oh, it does go out eventually. Off Pears, and right below us, we have a throw-in. Can't guess who's going to win.
Pies by a point. At the stoppage, it's Ryder who gets hold of it. It was touched off the boot and it slews away near the boundary. Gathered by Dell'Olio, stood in a tackle. Hand pass picked off by Blair. Tackled to a standstill by Heppel. Taken to ground. Throw it in. Left half forward for the Bombers as they push for either the tying behind or the take the lead goal. Jolly knocks it down to Hocking though. Bombers inside the 50, high ball. Maxwell couldn't hang on to the mark. Wellingham took the tackles at the drop. He's trying to get rid of it. He can't. The ball spills around in the pack. It might come out. Lonergan to Howlett. Great smother by Brown. Ryder gets another look. Up to full forward. It's all on the bounce. It bounces away from goal. Carlisle's got it. Hand pass. Stanton at last. Yes! Brent Stanton finds redemption at the last hour. He's kicked the goal to put the Bombers in front. 11-13, 79 to Collingwood, 10-14, 74, 27 on the clock.
Great lesson in never giving up. A great lesson in continuing to play, even when you're not playing well. They continue to keep fighting. And Stanton, who was absolutely killed in the first half with 2 possessions, has started to get some ball. Sometimes we call him a little bit selfish. He needed to be then. He got the ball out and straight away through the goals. And the Bombers are absolutely ecstatic, and they are running over the top with them with some pace and some leg speed. And every time they rush at the ball, you want to see them. There's some power there. The Pies are gone, I think.
Jolly wins the head out in the middle. It's taken by Pendlebury. His kick outside the square. Ugle charges at it, gets the hand pass away. Kick there smothered off the boot of Sidebottom. Here they come again though inside the 50. Cloak gets a touch but not a possession. It's cleared out of there beautifully by Pears. Out towards centre wing. Collingwood have the numbers 2-1. Pendlebury shows them the ball. Takes it away. Kicks towards 50. Sinclair hugs a chest mark. 51 metres out from goal. About a minute and a half to play. Kicked by Sinclair to the goal square. No mark, but it goes goalwards, and Blair goes off the ground, soccers the goal that puts the Pies in front. Hang on. The umpire is having a chat. He's going to the replay. I think it's a goal to Blair. I'm not sure. The umpire's not sure. Anzac Day could be decided by the video. One day we might get a grand final the same. Did Blair get his boot to the ball? Looked like it to me. Over the line before it was touched again. Looks like it to me. Looks like it to the Collingwood fans. We wait on the verdict. The umpire's taken possession of the ball in the goal square. Goal! Collingwood by a point.
Listen to the crowd. It is extraordinary. That just adds to the theatre of what's a great occasion in the fixture of AFL football. Who could believe the result we've had here? Whilst it's not over, it's just been an arm wrestle in the last 5 minutes. Dramatic. Stanton being down, kicks a goal. Blair being quiet, kicks a responding goal at the other end, and adjudged by the video referral system. The theatre, it's extraordinary.
There's 80 seconds to play. Essendon are going to have to win it all over again. Thrown up in the middle. Jolly trying to bring it down. Ryder steals it from him. The kick didn't go far. Davies onto it. Not releasing it in the Johnson tackle. The umpire runs in to throw it up. Approaching half forward for the Bombers. It's a game of metres right now. Third man up, Heppel spikes it down. Davey got it, kicked the full forward, out in front, Cramry. He's been nowhere either. Can't mark, hit hard by Blair. Hocking at the back, shovels it off. Heppel was taken without it. No free kick. O'Brien bumbles it out of there. Taken by Hardingham though. Squaring ball, no good. No good. It's marked by Ugle. Collingwood have it.
Good chase by Harry O'Brien to run down his
ripper.
own kick. Oh, he's caught from behind Ugle. He didn't hear Zaharakis coming. It spills to Watson. Hurried kick by the skipper. Goes out of bounds in the forward pocket. Or did it?
That was
No,
out.
It's kept alive according to the officials. And it's still here for Collingwood. Cleared by Marty Clark outside the 50. Swan gets the mark.
Is that fitting or what?
Dane Swan has been absolutely unbelievable, coming up for his 42nd possession in the last minute of the game. Collingwood lead by a point. And he's going to hold it up. He might be run down by Davey from behind. He kicks down the line to centre wing. No mark. Siren! What a game! Collingwood survive by a point, and the Bombers lose their first game for the season. Well, I'm sure the Collingwood fans thought that they'd lost that one, but they regained the lead with a controversial goal. Well, it was controversial in that the umpires weren't sure, so they went to the video replay, and Blair's goal counted, and Collingwood got home by a point, 11-14-80 to Essendon, 11-13-79. 86,932 had a ripping day out at the football. Brent Stanton was the hero for a minute. Jared Blair took it away from him, and at the end, Dane Swan took a mark in the heat of the game that was so appropriate because he was that far and away the best on the ground with 28 kicks, 14 hand passes, 20 contested possessions, 13 clearances. If the medal doesn't go to Swanee here today, there's something wrong. And the chant goes around the G for the Pies. Wow.
What a refrain at the end of the day. How about the chaotic last 60 seconds, though? I mean, Watson would like his time over because on the holding the ball call, he played the advantage. And had he picked the ball up and kept his head about him, Davey was loose over the top. And instead his kick sort of slewed away from everybody.
We're going to get the medalist.
Vietnam veteran Major General David McLaughlin is going to present firstly the Anzac Day medal to the player whose conduct and play during the game best exemplifies the Anzac spirit. Skill, courage in adversity, self-sacrifice, teamwork and fair play. And the winner of the Anzac Day medal is Dane Swan of the Collingwood Football Club.
Hard to imagine there could be a more emphatic winner through the years than this. 42 disposals, 20 of them contested, 13 clearances, 6 tackles to go with 6 marks. Extraordinary performance.
First of all, to Essendon, you're undefeated for a reason. Awesome game, and we were pretty lucky to pinch it in the end there. To our boys, well done, we kept fighting, and we showed we can be a good side when we want to be. To everyone that came out today, thanks for supporting us, and hopefully put on a good show for everyone, and most importantly to the people who defended this country a long time ago. Such an honour to play on this day, and hopefully you got a good show today, and thanks very much everyone.
The reigning Brownlow medalist with the Anzac medal as well.
And now this perpetual trophy provided by the RSL in dedication to the memory of those footballers who served in times of war. The names of VFL footballers known to have sacrificed their lives during active service are inscribed on the trophy. I'll invite David now to present it to the coach of the Collingwood Football Club, Nathan Buckley, and the captain, Nick Maxwell.
So this new combination, Buckley, who knew these days so well.
Firstly, I just want to thank Essendon and all the Essendon supporters. Unbelievable game, and you put up great effort. To our supporters, thanks for coming out and thanks for sticking with us over the last few weeks. And finally, let's just remember why we're here, and lest we forget.
Well done, Nick. Congratulations, Nathan. And thank you to both clubs, to Essendon and Collingwood, for taking part in another outstanding Anzac Day game of football. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
86,932 in for it. Collingwood 11-14-80 defeat Essendon 11-13-79.
What a game of footy. I mean, Collingwood's only 2 wins prior to this were, as Sellers said, in 15-minute bursts, but that was a game where they had to play all day plus some.
It's all happened in such a hurry. Did we give the goal kickers? No, you give the goal kickers and then we'll let Mark loose.
Well, Swan kicked 3 and won the medal. Cloak kicked 3. Blair kicked 2. And singles for Collingwood. Beams, Jolly and Sidebottom. And for Essendon, Davey kicked 3. Zaharakis 2. And the rest were singles in a well-spread goal kickers list. Stanton must have thought he had the winner when he kicked one in the last quarter. Monfries, Jetta must have thought that he'd won the game too when he put Essendon in front until the goal was taken off him. Lonergan, Hocking, Howlett and Delolio.
Amazing stuff, Mark.
Well, that's what we come for. We come to see a contest, and two sides actually exhausted at the end of it, who've worked themselves into the ground after 4 or 5 day break. And we got nothing less than that. Collingwood should have won by a lot more, and we all understand that. They fell for the 2-card trick of closing up shop too early. Sometimes that doesn't work. A lot of times it doesn't work, and today it almost didn't work, except they had enough time to get it over the line. The ball opened up because they were tired, and they kicked the ball long, and it was a basic, simple fight to see who could win the game. I really enjoyed it. I mean, the possessions at Collingwood were miles in front of the possessions, something like nearly 50, 45 or something like that. They were in front in possessions. They were in front on the contested possessions, uncontested possessions, and all the key components to win a game except tackles, because they had the more ball. Now, but I admire Essendon there. I love their fight and their effort. They had Watson down, they had Stanton down, they had Ryder down, they had Crameri down, but I love their effort because they just kept coming. And you know what? All the other blokes who are supposedly not great players just kept fighting, just kept pushing the ball forward. And I really liked the way that they went around. Saharakis and Dyson was pretty good. Watson was okay.
More from you in a moment into the Collingwood rooms with Whiting.
Even got a smile from Dale Thomas and Nathan Buckley. They're very happy, although as they walk past me, there's an element of relief. Maybe they're just too tired to celebrate. Steel Sidebottom coming past, Dane Beams. Daisy Thomas is off to the side. He's just going to watch this. As they all circle up with the cup there out to the side. Kirk Ugle was in the middle. He got showered with sports drinks, as is often the case here in Collingwood. Nathan Buckley was even in the circle. We'll head it back upstairs. We're going to catch up with the captain very shortly.
As I said, they were down in a lot of positions, but I can't see too many positions they actually really won across the ground. But they got so close, and I love the way they worked at it. And he's certainly got something to work with there, the coach James Hird. They have a great belief in each other, an understanding that it's never over till it's over. And the Pies, Nathan Buckley can be well served by his side. I thought they were terrific. They got a few little problems with their side. They got a couple of little things that they can fix up. But a good, solid victory this afternoon against quality opposition who are top of the ladder at this stage.
Okay, our news radio audience will depart during this interview with Nick Maxwell. Adam White.
Thank you, Jared. Nick, we chatted a couple of years ago when you weren't playing on Anzac Day, and you spoke about the significance of the day and how it affected you, in a sense, with your mate Tom Reynolds. We spoke to Tom today, had his gear on, but he had his Collingwood scarf on as well. You put on a good show for him.
Yeah, I've converted him. He was a Carlton supporter before I went to Collingwood. So, look, I think it really puts things in perspective when you've got mates and family who are in those situations. And, look, we try not to think about it and think about what he has to go through. But when you start doing it, it scares the hell out of you. So, look, I was just happy that today both teams just put on an epic performance and hopefully one that all the Anzacs will be proud of.
Have you actually got anything left, all of you? Because it was just amazing that last 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's, I mean, the whole game, everyone just felt so weary. I know I felt it. 3 games in 12 days for us, and my first 3 games of the year, so I knew it was going to be tough. But look, we've got great conditioning staff here who've done everything with our recovery, and the guys have been so professional given the slow start of the year we had. So we've started to right the ship a bit, and now we can have a real good analysis of the last couple of games and go into the Bulldogs next week.
To fight out a win like that and just find a way to get the 4 points, is that the sort of game that can spark a season?
Yeah, definitely. I think that we had every right to lose that in the end. They just kept coming. They had the momentum, and you've got to give credit to Essendon. They were unbelievable, and to lose one early like they did, obviously we had that fresh legs with that extra player, so you've got to give credit to them because they were sensational.
Now, Nick's got to go to the meeting, but hopefully he'll be able to come back afterwards and have a chat to us. We don't want to upset the coach, even though he is the captain.
Nick Maxwell in the Collingwood rooms, the Pies by 1 point over the Bombers.
One thing that really changed the game was that Dane Swan was absolutely outstanding. I thought Wellingham was terrific as well. Brown on his job did his job extremely well. O'Brien early was just brilliant. He had plenty of the ball early and just dominated and kept them in the game. And I thought Marty Clark's job on Stanton was just terrific. They're disciplined to do those jobs. It was just great. I didn't see a lot of that from Essendon, but what I did see was just sheer when we won't be beaten, and that'll take you a hell of a long way come September if they're still there.
Your thoughts, Chris?
Well, I agree with most things Mark says, and on this occasion I have to say that again. It was just an extraordinary game. The theatre, that last 2 minutes of play, it was what we came here to almost expect to see, didn't we? The results on these games have sometimes not been fitting for the day. But on occasions, we just get a great game of football, and all the key stats say that Collingwood should have won by 6+ goals. Well, Essendon just stayed in it. Those moments in the third quarter where they just went inside 50 a couple of times and scored a couple of times, it just meant that they were just a little bit more efficient inside 50, which brought the scoreboard a little bit closer. But that's what happens. When the scoreboard's close, anything can happen. And the opposition feels that. The opposition can feel the fact that we've had all this play, we've had all this possession, we've had all these inside 50s, we're winning all the key stats, and we're only 2 goals in front. So in a lot of ways, it was an extraordinary result in the end.
Our news radio audience departs the MCG. Collingwood 11-14-80, defeating Essendon 11-13-79, a 1 point result on Anzac Day. For the rest of the country, we go for the next half hour.
Not everybody's into Dream Team, but we hit new ground. Swan got 171 Dream Team points. 171. Is that a record?
It's a big number. I don't think it's a record.
I thought 190 was.
I think Ablett had a couple, maybe a couple of years ago, but that's as big a number as you usually see. So how will the two coaches dice it up, Chris? On what you've just said?
Oh, I think in 2 ways. I think, and for opposite reasons. Nathan would be pretty pleased to get away with the win in the end, because to do what they did with the footy, the amount of ball that they won that we've been speaking about only moments ago, I think he would walk away just pleased that they got a result on a big day, with a lot riding on it. I think he'd be pretty pleased with that. James Hird on the hand would say, you know what, we've been beaten by the last kick of the day, and we didn't do a lot right. We had a lot of our best players down, our major goal kicker in Crameri. Stanton was no doubt down for 3 quarters. Watson was only sort of just compared to standards he set. Zaharaka's second half was reasonable. Before that, whilst he had 12 possessions, he wasn't really having an impact on the game. Ryder in the first 3 quarters was down. So I think James Hird and his coaching staff walk away just going, we didn't do a lot right today, but I'm really pleased with the tenacity, and the belief that you showed in the big moments in the game in the last quarter, because they should have lost by 6 goals. I mean, statistically, they should have lost by 6 goals, but games aren't won on the stat sheet,
No,
and that's exactly what happened today.
Subbing out of Hibberd in the first quarter with the hamstring, gee, that cost. When you're one short for that long.
That's 10 players on their list now that are in trouble, leaves them with 31 or something, or 30 odd players to pick from, and they still put up a performance like that. It's not about talent, Drew. It's about system and what their belief in each other are. And I think James Hird walk away really happy. They didn't have one tall forward. They took one mark only inside 50 from their tall forwards. They didn't have one tall forward kick a goal, not one. All their goals were kicked by smalls. There's a whole lot of stuff that can be improved there, and on the biggest day, except for grand final day, they stood up and fought to the end with great tenacity, and not much going for them. I reckon James had to be wrapped. He might not say it, but he'd be very pleased.
Shall we throw the lines open, get a sample of how people feel at the end of that? 1300 222 774. 1300 222 774. Your verdict on Anzac Day 2012. Collingwood by 1 point over Essendon. A remarkable last 5 minutes or so of the game. It's probably there's all sorts of bits and pieces queued up in the last half hour, Drew. So let's take a moment to go through all the numbers, which have been alluded to be so heavily in favour of Collingwood.
Well, it's Swan first, Daylight second. Swan, 42 possessions, 20 of them contested, 13 clearances, 6 tackles, 5 inside 50s, 3 goals won, and the 3 goals won makes him the leading goal kicker on the ground, level with Davey. Amazing. Pendlebury, 34 possessions, Beams, 32, Sidebottom, 28, Johnson, 27, then down to Wellingham, Buckley, Maxwell, and so on. The overall team statistics, the total disposals was a margin of 47 in favour of Collingwood. The contested possessions, a margin of 15 for Collingwood. The tackles were in favour of Essendon, 91 to 85. The marks were Essendon, 77 to 69. The clearances were Collingwood by a margin of 7, 45 to 38. And the inside 50s favoured Collingwood, 60 to 54. Free kicks finished up being a bit one-sided. Essendon finished up with 17 to 10 for most of the, and that's only 27 free kicks for the entire game. Gee, they were very loath to pay frees early on. They were just letting them fight it out. But what a terrific game they produced, the umpires. I'm not sure how come they didn't work out that Blair's kick at the end was off his boot and got over the line without going to the video. But anyway, be that as it may, I thought it was umpired pretty well. I reckon supporters of both teams will say, bull! We were robbed. But anyway, a 1 point game. It was just fantastic. 11-14-80 to Essendon, 11-13-79. One team had it won, had it taken away. The other team got up by a point. Amazing. Gee, you could write 50 pages on a game of football.
And on what we've seen from Dane Swan in the past couple of weeks, he was put firmly under the hammer. He's responded with being best on ground 2 weeks in a row, but this performance was quite something.
Oh, I think it was too, Jared. And I think when you look at the standards that these guys have set over the last couple of years, you come to expect it every single week. The consistent level that they play at, Pendlebury, Swan, those types of plays, when they have an off couple of weeks, you're just starting to think, oh, gee, the whole team's sliding and so are they. But he's rebounded beautifully over the last couple of weeks. The thing that I've really, and we asked him after last week's game on Grandstand when they played Port Adelaide, do you sense a responsibility that now Luke Ball's not there, that the leaders within that midfield group that are going to be around the action, around the coalface, need to really step up? And I think he, over the last 2 weeks, has been catalyst for them winning the ball around the stoppages. To have 13 clearances, the next best on the ground I think was 7, wasn't it? And I think that was Lonigan from Essendon. I mean, it's almost double clearances than any player in the game today. It says a lot about a bloke. You can get the ball on the outside, but he does it all. Forward, back, middle, 3 goals. You can sense that he's responding to the challenge. The other thing that we also asked him, and he actually answered, was that he knew that by the end of last year, he was starting to actually go south. He just couldn't get across the ground from a fitness perspective. And isn't it interesting that they've started slowly this year? I just wonder whether there's somewhat of a plan for those types of guys to actually hit the end of the year running, because he indicated to us last week that, well, I've tried to time my season for the end of the season, not the start, and it's interesting to see the way it's panning out.
Okay, let's launch into your calls on 1300 222 774. Just get a sense of how you feel at the end of this encounter. John is in Catherine, a Maggie supporter. Hello, John.
Yeah, g'day, boys. How you going?
Good.
Yeah, good call again. Yeah, really good. But, hey, I just thought, we keep raving on about Essendon, but how about the Collingwood boys? They've still got half their team out, so they're looking pretty good to sort of start bloody firing back up again.
John, they've been a bit down over the last month or so, but today was their best performance. They're consistent most of the 4 quarters. Only that last 5 or 6 minutes where they try to slow the game down. And look, we talked about their great players, and we have no doubt about it. They've been fantastic, and they should have won by a lot more. But if you had been here and you had watched the game, you would have gone, how did Essendon get close? How in the hell did they get close, John? So no doubt that your blokes are pretty good, and you've got a few injuries as well. We all understand that, but that was a hell of a game, I tell you.
Good on you, John. Greg's in Bunbury. Good afternoon to you, Greg. Well, good evening.
It's still afternoon here, mate. Still early.
Very good.
Just want to congratulate you guys on a great call. Listening on the radio, of course. The umpire's decisions when the goal, and they went to the TV a couple of times. But now I just want to change it a touch, because I'm not a soccer fan, but soccer need to use TV. Can I just leave that open with you guys?
Yep, you can lob that. Although I'm not sure on the TV replays from the A-League Grand Final that by the time they took the penalty, they would have had the right answer. The answer didn't come for 24 hours until they found the super slow-mo. So I've been intrigued throughout the week as people are saying use the video as to what the answer would have been. Stephen's in Parkdale. Stephen, welcome to Grandstand AFL.
Hey, Jared. I'm a Chelsea supporter and a Collingwood supporter, so that's going to piss everybody off. But after Lionel Messi missed that penalty this morning, I'm very happy. But going back to the video, that was definitely a goal.
Blair or the other one?
Blair was the goal.
Yep.
But the other one wasn't a goal.
Yeah, well, I think as we sit here, we would think that both of them were right, wouldn't we?
Yep.
It will be an eternal mystery how Goldsack sort of never got that through, but he didn't seem to get it through.
He didn't get anything today. No. He didn't get anything done.
And Blair's brushed the inside of the leg. I mean, the ball changed direction dramatically.
Yep.
I'd be amazed if anyone held a different view to that.
I just saw an interesting thing. There was a camera out on the ground, and the bloke who was being interviewed was Craig Kelly. Being interviewed on the ground. Don't know what's going on there. He's a powerful man, Craig Kelly. And I'll just throw him up as a potential candidate to be the next Collingwood president. There you are.
That'll be the Collingwood Club Show. You're all over the Collingwood Club Show. You had them pegged last week. They had Buckley mic'd up, and sure enough, it was all on last night.
Yep, and I had to defend myself against some comments I made a couple of weeks ago about, the Collingwood boards, sort of a few rumblings there, and people had a crack at me. And anyway, how well are they going in the last couple of weeks? Just by the way.
11, 14, 80 over 11, 13, 79. Collingwood over Essendon. We'll just line up a couple more calls, and Adam White will be back with us shortly. Nick Maxwell in the rooms there. 86,932 sits nicely in with the series of matches that they've put together on a pretty ordinary day in Melbourne.
Yeah. Am I on a little bit of a hobby horse? Oh, I've been a bit of a fan of him. He comes from my very town, but I can't work out why Goldsack plays on the forward line. On the evidence of today, they played a bloke who in 73 games has kicked 8 goals.
Well, it's hard to answer, but there's greater minds than us that sit in boxes over their little boxes and have headphones on and do all those sorts of things.
Well, you blokes both played forward.
Yeah.
Any comments, either of you?
I think he's got some talent. Look, I really do think he's got some talent. He had a poor day. It's a hard day out there today for a tall forward. He's 6'4", 6'5". He's not a running forward. He's not a jetter. He's not a Fasolo. He's not one of those type of players. He's a tall forward, and what his job was to keep Fletcher out of the way. That was his job. So, sometimes what you see is not what you get. Okay.
Okay, let's get back with Adam White. Whitey?
Yeah, thanks, Jared. Before we head upstairs for some questions, what Nathan Buckley was saying, Nick, to you just then?
I just spoke about some of the stats and I guess contested possession and some of our tackling and our tackling efficiency, the stuff that we really want to get right, the stuff that we haven't had right in the first few weeks. So we haven't really been focused on skills or goals or anything like that. It's just those defensive aspects of the game, and today we're really good there in those areas. And he also obviously pointed out Marty Clark, who had a big job on Stanton today, and we felt he did a really good job.
Can you enjoy this win? Because this is pretty special. Like Collingwood fans, I've never heard noise like it at the end.
I thought I heard the siren 3 times. I was like, oh, is that the siren? Oh, no, it's not. Everyone's still going. So I didn't know what was going on out there. But look, it was just great to get it in such a tight game. And because it's so close, I mean, obviously they're going to be really disappointed. And Buck sort of said, look, if you didn't put your body on the line in every effort, then we might be sitting in here and feel that disappointment. So it was great to be the ones with a smile on our face.
Boys, upstairs, go for it.
Nick, it's Chris Grant here. We shouldn't be surprised by this result at all, should we? Both teams, one love playing in it, but they just give their all, don't they?
Yeah, you're right, Chris. I think that, we speak about it all the time when approaching Anzac Day, saying that it doesn't matter where the two teams are on the ladder, there's always going to be a tight game, and there hasn't been many blowouts. And when there has, it's sort of been last quarter blowouts. It's been tight for a few quarters. So, again, today was the same. And, I mean, particularly a lot of people made a lot of the 4-day break. But, look, both teams obviously know how to go about it. They don't actually train much. And we probably thought we would have had a chance to run over the top of them in the end, but just shows the courage of a lot of their players.
And what about Nathan Brown's role today? I mean, for two reasons. One, being back into the side allows you all to play in more familiar roles, but his job on Cranberry was outstanding.
Mate, he's unbelievable. And Cranberry had 11 shots on goal last week against some quality defenders of the Blues, and Brownie went head-to-head to him all day, and he was just sensational. And look, we're just so happy to have him back. He never complained once when he went through hell last year, and obviously with the knee reconstruction after doing a whole pre-season, fought his way back and was going to be back in the team mid-year, and then slipped down a hill and cracked his kneecap in half and had to go through it all again. So we've just got so much admiration for him, and he's just so popular amongst our players. We just absolutely love him. So look, we're just rapt that he could get out there and do a great job for us.
Nick, congratulations. Really good win. But I want to talk you through that last 5 minutes.
Yep.
Pendlebury takes a mark out here on the half-back flank. You're 7 points up or 6 points up, so he holds the ball up. It's the 15-minute mark of the last quarter. And you send a message to the opposition that you're going to put your cue in the rack. And you know what happened then? Almost lost the game.
So I go from there?
Yeah, please, let's go.
Well, yeah, that'll be something we'll look at. I'm not sure. What was the score there? Was it a goal?
2 goals or 1 goal?
Yeah. So, look, I think that in the end, we've still got a pretty young team. And a lot of the time, people can get caught up in the moment. So we rely on our senior players to actually make calls like that out in the ground and sort of say, listen, we need to start taking the sting out of this, and we've got to start slowing it down a bit and not play. Obviously, the way Essendon were going to win was through all their speed and through their players really getting some momentum through those stoppages and through the play, and making sure that, I guess, we didn't allow them to do that. So we really wanted to slow it down, and if we do kick long to a contest, then it can go out of bounds, or we can get a stoppage and we can start again. But we do rely, because we are so young still, we rely on guys like Scotty to make those calls out on the ground.
But you send a message to them, you already give up, and you're going to slow down. So they just keep charging, and they just did. And that, I don't understand sometimes why that when you got someone down, you whack one more goal on.
Yeah, true.
Well, flying into them.
I guess it's a coaching philosophy in the end, and Bucks, I guess that's what he wants from us. We want us to use momentum and not just keep going at a bull at a gate the whole time. So obviously we didn't score as effectively as we could have going into our forward 50, but around the stoppages I thought we were pretty good.
Nick, I think that's the best game you've played this year, really. I mean, good 4-quarter effort, solid, pretty strong. but you probably, you didn't get the result you actually wanted, like a 4 or 5 goal win, really.
Yeah, you're right. But in the end, we just wanted the 4 points, and you're right. We did a lot of stats. We did really well. We really dominated. But in the end, you got to make sure that you put it on the scoreboard, and we didn't. And they took some chances that we probably should have taken. So, again, that'll be something we look at. But for us, the intent and the effort was what we wanted, and that's what we got.
Are you getting one back next week?
What do we got? 9 days. Alan Didak will play on Saturday in the VFL. I don't know who else is out at the moment. Chrissy Tarrant's probably not right yet, so yeah, possibly Diz, but it would be hard to change a team who performed the way we did today.
What was it like for Kirk Ugle out there today?
Yeah, it was. I would have been devastated for him if they ended up winning when that last play when he sort of got tackled from behind, but. He probably didn't get enough opportunity today. He only got I think it was in the last quarter he actually came into the game. But Kirky's someone who we really rate highly, and he gives us something that we haven't got a lot of, which is real speed and intensity through that forward half. So he's someone who we think's got a really big future.
Unbelievable stage in which to make your debut.
Yeah, you really find out about guys, don't you? So, but again, that tends to happen with Collingwood players. They come in and we rate our development section with Craig McRae and Tarkin Lockyer and the crew down there, and they get guys ready. And I think when they come in, they tend to do the job for us.
We marvelled at Dane Swan, who it's not the first time he's been in the 40 disposal range, but there have been questions about some of the quality of what he's got in the past when he's had stratospheric numbers like this. There were no questions this afternoon. What did you think of his performance?
I thought he was awesome. Yeah, I thought he was awesome the way he went about it. And again, a lot of people talk about Dane not being in our leadership group, but look, that was his decision, and the way that he plays is leadership. So he didn't want to sit in all the meetings and didn't want to have to go through all the other stuff that we go through as leaders, but it doesn't stop him from being a leader around the club and the way he goes about it. And it was just awesome out there game day today.
Does it feel different under Nathan? Completely different or slightly different?
It doesn't really feel different because you go out there and you're with 21 of your mates trying to win the game. So that's the thing we love doing. We love getting out there and playing. And I guess of speaking to my mate Tommy, I would just see over there with all his medals on, who's part of the army, and he's sort of saying he's hoping to head back over there. And I said, why do you want to go back over there? Are you crazy? And he goes, oh, look, it'd be like you guys training all the time and just sitting on the bench all game and not going out in the ground. And for us, getting out in the ground is the same as him actually going over there and fighting. It's just actually game day is what it's all about. So when you're out there with 21 of your mates, it's just a really special feeling.
It's a good note on which to leave it, Nick. Well done. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Nick Maxwell, the Pies skipper down in the Collingwood rooms. They won by a point over Essendon, 11-14-80 to 11-13-79. Take a few more calls and the better players and the votes in the time we have remaining. Baz is with us on Grandstand AFL. Baz, fire away.
Hey, g'day, guys. Nice call. I've enjoyed it with a Collingwood supporter, so it was almost unbearable. Hey, look, taking nothing away from the game, and these two sides always put on an absolutely ripper performance. But can you see a time where the AFL actually shares the love and gives it to two other teams on this amazing day we call Anzac Day?
Do you think, Baz, that another combination of teams would have drawn 87,000 today?
Oh, definitely, absolutely.
Okay, well, you'd have to make that case compellingly, I reckon.
Well, if the Hawks or one of the traditional VFL clubs was also in there, you'd have to.
No, they don't draw crowds in these numbers, Baz. You'd actually have to come up with genuine evidence to say that they would. They don't play in front of 87,000.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair call.
But Mark McClure's in your corner.
I am.
I'm not slapping you down. I'm just saying.
I'm with you, Baz. I think we need to share it. I think it's an event game. We all know it's an event game. It's a bit like the Melbourne Cup, or it's a bit like something else, and people will go. But we need to have very competitive sides doing it. And these two seem to put up a pretty good fight every week, every time we do it. But I think we need to share it and share the money too, Baz.
Good on you, Baz. Stuart's in Glen Iris. Good evening to you, Stuart.
G'day. I listened to the call all day while I was working, but I had to watch the last 5 on the TV. And with the goal replay of Blair, the first shot was a side-on, inconclusive. So they went to behind the goal camera, and he definitely kicked it, went off his instep. But it appeared to me that it came across sideways and hit his hand. then went over the line. And the camera didn't go back to the other side view to confirm whether it was conclusive or inconclusive.
Oh, interesting. So you
So
think the
just
ball
have a look.
touched
I've had
his
a-
own hand?
Yeah, I had another look on the tape, and it definitely looks like it might have hit his hand, but I'd have to say it's inconclusive from that angle. But if this is what the technology's for, why didn't they go back and have a look at the other one?
Oh, marvellous.
Good work. Good work.
I can't wait to go in and have a look.
Get it back tomorrow. Replay the game.
Good stuff, Stuart. Thanks a lot. Mark's in Perth. Mark, welcome aboard.
Hi, just a quick comment first. Sitting over here at 29 degrees in Perth and we've eaten our pies. Do not let them take the Anzac game away from the Bombers and Collingwood. It is just the best. It is the best. And they really do serve up something. Observing the game, the key matchups, other teams will be looking at Harry O'Brien. What do you do about that bloke? And I think if you control him, it's a good thing. And how a game changer like Crammery from last week, when he's well held, what impact that has on the outcome.
Well, a couple of points, I guess. The thing about Harry O'Brien is, and I'm actually really surprised that the coaching staff from Essendon allowed that to happen early. And also interesting because post-half-time, they put Angus Momfries on him and he had a couple of touches in the second half. And it was a big reason why Essendon were able to get back into the game. It's extraordinary to think that that a player of that calibre, we know the strength of being able to actually thwart the forward thrust of the opposition. And he's just a marvel at it. He's built a career on it. And it's surprising to me to see him. I think, Mark, you made mention at the start of the first quarter, the fact he was allowed to stay there. I think that, from that perspective, teams will certainly over the next coming weeks will not allow that to happen at all.
I reckon he had 3 possessions in the second half.
He was supposed to have height, speed, best hands. He was going to be able to do anything. He took 1 mark and had 7 possessions. So, he's gone from, having, what was it, 12 shots at goal last week.
It's not easy playing up forward. Those defenders get it easy, mate.
Well, he missed Hurley up there. Hurley's his partner in crime, really. Yeah. He needed a bit of class up there. What they were able to do as Collingwood defenders is say, Carlisle is not really going to hurt me that much, and I can actually roll off and help Nathan Brown out at times. If Hurley was there, his opponent's not leaving him at any point in time.
Actually, and Ryder was almost a hindrance. He did nothing in the forward line.
Time's going to beat us on more calls here tonight. Mark it down for Saturday, though, at midday. I'm sure a lot of this will continue to bubble away, plus you'll have Fremantle and Carlton to talk about by then. So for the first hour on Saturdays now on Grandstand, the AFL, a real chance to join in the conversation of what's making news, how it's unfolding on the field, and you add your thoughts to ours. But let's get the better players and the votes for Collingwood's 1-point win over Essendon.
Well, I thought for the Essendon team, there weren't a lot of 4-quarter winners, and it's a really surprising stat when you actually go through the winners for Essendon. There weren't that many, surprisingly, yet they're only lost by under a goal. Leroy Jetta kicked 3 goals, kicked those 2 in the last quarter that really brought them back into the contest. Really interesting game from Sam Lonigan. Played on Beams for most of the day. Beams clearly had a very good game, but I thought Lonigan's ability to be able to get his hands on the ball and get some clearances in that second half were telling. Ricky Dyson played a reasonable game today. I thought Hepler half back was very good, and I thought Zaharaka's second half was very good for his team. For Collingwood, well, these 4 players, Beams, Pendlebury, Johnson and Sidebottom, pretty much had an average of 30 disposals each, 120-odd possessions between them. That went a long way towards Collingwood winning the game today. 2 unsung heroes. Swan clearly best on ground, but 2 unsung heroes were Nathan Brown and Marty Clark. The way that they played today, they gave all of themselves. Brown in his first game in 18 months and Clark in his stopping job on Stanton. And I would have thought, Mark, that man Swan was best on ground.
Don't.
Not even you. Not even you, Mark.
I gave 1 to Steel Sidebottom. I thought he was spectacular early. His clean hands and his cleverness in the conditions. He is a young star on their making. And Ben Johnson, a bit of resurgence from Benny Johnson. Gave 2 to Ben Johnson, who played off half-back, continued to thrust the ball forward. Was a really telling player in times of the game. And they go through to Dane Swan, who is just... He's a pleasure to watch, and if you've got a chance to ever go and see him live, do so, because he is a star. He just never falls over. He does everything that's supposed to be done. Kicks goals. He did the lot today. there's nothing that he did wrong in any way, shape or form.
He's got pace off the mark. He can burn blokes, and he doesn't look the sort of, I don't know, he doesn't look it. But
he's got time, he's got space,
yeah.
he's got it all. You know, you're right there, Drew. He just doesn't look it, but no one lays a finger on him.
That's right.
3 to Swan, 2 to Johnson, and 1 to Sidebottom. Collingwood 11-14, 80 over Essendon 11-13, 79. A 1-point result for the Pies in front of 86,932 on this Wednesday. Grandstand AFL continues on Friday night from Subiaco when Fremantle hosts Carlton. We'll talk to you then.
Snaps a goal from about 13 metres out. First goal of the last quarter to Collingwood. Comes to Hocking. Centering ball is good, and an excellent mark's been taken by Delolio right in front. Here he goes. Socks down. The drop punt is home. Not with that much authority, I wouldn't have thought.
Zaharakis gets forward of him. Hocking's going longer. Davies going to have to try to edge Tooby, and he does. Elwyn Davies, slight angle. 30 metres from goal. Guides it home. And still they creep. Down by 8 points halfway through the final term. Hand passed in there to Howlett. Shoveled it forward the play. Lonergan gives it off. Hocking with the shot. Davies, the lone man back. It's going to land, and he marks at the goal square. Scores are about to be levelled. They muscled it out of the contest, and Elwyn Davey ties things up. Ryder gets another look. Up to full forward. It's all on the bounce. It bounces away from goal. Carlisle's got it. Hand pass. Stanton at last. Yes! Brent Stanton finds redemption at the last hour. He's kicked the goal to put the Bombers in front.
No mark, but it goes goalwards, and Blair goes off the ground. Soccers the goal that puts the Pies in front. Hang on. The umpire is having a chat. He's going to the replay. Did Blair get his boot to the ball? Looked like it to me. Over the line before it was touched again. Looks like it to me. Looks like it to the Collingwood fans. We wait on the verdict. The umpire's taken possession of the ball in the goal square. Goal! Collingwood by a point.
Listen to the crowd. It is extraordinary. That just adds to the theatre of what's a great occasion in the fixture of AFL football.
Cleared by Marty Clark outside the 50. Swan gets the mark.
Is that fitting or what?
Dane Swan has been absolutely unbelievable, coming up for his 42nd possession in the last minute of the game. Collingwood lead by a point. And he's going to hold it up. He might be run down by Davey from behind. He kicks down the line to centre wing. No mark. Siren! What a game! Collingwood survive by a point, and the Bombers lose their first game for the season.
Collingwood.